There's one man who refuses to follow the script.
We have rules here, you know that. And if you don't follow the rules, then what are we?
One man stands tall in the face of adversity.
But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
A man who rises above the ashes of hot takes.
What do you care what they say?
Easy for you to say they all love you.
It's just noise, man. You're really good at it. You might be great.
That man is Nick Kostos, and this is You Better You Bet.
If loving sports is wrong, I don't want to be right.
Where narratives are challenged and the truth is spoken.
I told you what was going to happen last week. If you didn't listen, that's on you.
This isn't talk, it's perspective.
It's not what you look at that matters. It's what you see.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Football Tuesday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. Coming to you live, day 2 from Radio Row, San Francisco, California, the site of Super Bowl 60 with the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary. And listen, you want to be a legend this week, you win your bets on the Super Bowl. And you do that at BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this terrific Football Tuesday live from the Bay Area, the world of sports is buzzing. And we're going to get to all the big stories. And the guest list on this Tuesday is magnificent, as per usual here on Radio Row. And as the week goes on, and for people that are watching the show right now on YouTube or Twitch, shout out to you. How much can they see? A lot behind me, guys? John Romero, they can see, yeah. So it's early. It's 6:02 a.m. local time here in the Bay Area on the West Coast. So not a ton of people here today, but as the week goes on, this will be absolutely filled. The guests are going to be insane as we move along this week, and today is no different. Pro sports bettor Joey Knish coming up later this hour, baby, with his best bets for Super Bowl 60. My friend Solomon Wilcots of SiriusXM NFL Radio later this hour. WWE Superstar and new host of Sumer Sports, Big E. New Day Rocks. Big E will stop by. Akbar Bajabiamila will stop by. Charlie Batch will join us. Pat Daugherty from NBC Sports. The guest list, sensational. And we will get to all the big stories today, including Kansas and Darren Peterson winning last night in Lubbock against Texas Tech. And we will get to the latest drama in the NBA with the trade deadline a couple days away. But we'll start today with the breaking news in the world of sports, and it does have a tie-in with Super Bowl 60 coming up this Sunday. Because ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting moments ago, a couple minutes ago, that in addition to Bill Belichick not making the Hall of Fame on the first ballot, which we found out obviously last week, and we did a bunch of the show on that last week, and we touched on it yesterday with Mike Sando and others, Robert Kraft also not inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame's class of 2026. Robert Kraft is looking for his 7th Super Bowl title as an owner. And we have seen in the last 10 years in the National Football League, 3 owners get elected to the Hall of Fame. Legendary San Francisco 49ers owner Eddie DeBartolo, who obviously oversaw the Niners' dynastic run with Bill Walsh and then later George Seifert. Jerry Jones, of course, of the Dallas Cowboys. And the late Pat Bowlen of the Denver Broncos. So I said a couple weeks ago, Robert Kraft needs to go into the Hall of Fame. Whether you like him or dislike him, whether you like the Patriots or dislike the Patriots, like, we have to tell the truth. And you can't ignore history. And Bob Kraft needs to be a Hall of Famer. Maybe not in the same way that Bill Belichick needs to be a Hall of Famer. Belichick obviously is coach, Kraft is an owner, And Mike Sando, I thought on the show yesterday of The Athletic, did a great job of saying, right, it's players, then it's coaches, then it's contributors, owners, and it's going to go in that order always. So Kraft needs to go in, but not in before Bill Belichick. And I think what's really being illuminated here, and it's something we've talked about, and Adam Schefter even came out right and said it, which means that this is going to get changed in the days and weeks to come, that this voting process is not working. And Sando alluded to that yesterday. And I would imagine that we will have major changes to the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee, even heading into next year, because you can't keep rolling like this. The Hall of Fame has taken a major hit. The credibility of the Hall of Fame has taken a major hit. I would imagine that things will change in short order. Now, the impact that I think it could have on the Super Bowl, and it's something that's not going to be quantifiable, but if you're, a Seahawks fan, someone who wants to bet on the Seahawks in the Super Bowl, Seattle remaining 4.5-point favorite in the game, you don't want the Patriots with any more motivation. You don't need this to turn into, and I'm not trying to tell you, our audience, our very smart listeners and viewers, that, Drake May's going to play harder because Bob Kraft didn't make the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. I'm not saying that at all. But you don't want to give the opposition any extra motivation. And I would imagine that this will be a story heading into Sunday, not the biggest story, but a story. And you don't want that. If you're someone who wants to bet the Seattle Seahawks, someone who roots for the Seattle Seahawks. And Kenny Henderson, who's our engineer on the show, just wrote something in our chat, and he's 100% right. I was going to bring this up, and Kenny just said it, so Kenny and I are simpatico on this. Because I said, if you're someone out there listening or watching, and you want to bet on the Seattle Seahawks, that you would like the Patriots to have no extra motivation heading into this game, I have not heard. And granted, we got here on Sunday afternoon to the Bay Area, and we've done one show only, so this will be our 2nd to 5 this week here on Radio Row. I haven't talked to one person, either on air or off air, that thinks the Patriots are going to win. Now, there are a couple people who think that the Seahawks will win a close game, and I think that's where I land right now, is Seahawks close. Haven't made my decision yet. I think the most likely scenario is the Patriots struggle to score a lot of points. That's what I think is the most likely scenario. But I haven't talked to one person who thinks the Patriots are going to win the game. And you know how this works, right? Because we've been doing this for a long time here on You Better You Bet, and it's been going on in the media forever. As the week goes on, I'm sure there will be start of a contrarian groundswell towards the Patriots, kind of like actually, the spread's really close, and not a lot separates the two teams. And yes, the Seahawks are better 2 through 53, but the Patriots at 1 are better than Seattle. Because with all respect to Sam Darnold, who's had a tremendous season, obviously, for Seattle and is the favorite to be Super Bowl MVP, Drake May's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. And I don't think I'm insulting Sam Darnold by saying that. I'm also saying the Seahawks are a better team than the Patriots. But Drake May's better than Sam Darnold. And my sense is, as the week goes on, there will start to a groundswell of support for the New England Patriots will start to emerge. If not to win the game, then certainly at least to cover the spread. There's no way we're heading into Sunday and 98% of people that we talk to on this show, 98% of people that, talk in the media and give picks out and give bets out, etc., or just think Seattle's going to win 100-0. I don't think that's going to be the case. Now, I have not yet made my decision on how I want to bet this game. I can't wait to talk to a lot of the guests that we're going to have on this week. Kanish will join us later this hour. Pizzola will come on this week. Jay Croucher's going to join us. The Whale Capper, Drew Dinsick's going to join us. Kelly Stewart, Ariel Epstein. We're going to have a lot of great betting guests in addition to a lot of great football guests. And I can't wait to pick their brains about the big game. Again, for me right now, I do think the Seahawks will win. Have not made a decision on how I want to bet the point spread of the game. And we'll have a lot of props, obviously. We'll give some of those out on Friday. And then the 2 shows that I will host on Sunday. And Bill, our executive producer, Bill Zimmerman. Bill, we need to book some guests for the Sunday show. Bill gives me the thumbs up. I'm not doing 2 solo hours on Super Bowl 60 on Sunday after doing 5 days of it this week here on Radio Row. You better you bet Westwood One Sports on this Tuesday. Nick Kostos here with you live on Radio Row. So to paraphrase the great Billy Joel, in the middle of the night. Now, you may think I'm about to just start singing River of Dreams, which is a great song. But in the middle of the night, and I woke up and saw it this morning, How about this for like an absolute stunner? Just like something you absolutely did not expect to see. James Harden and the LA Clippers are exploring a trade. This is like, logging onto Twitter. It's like, the United States going to buy Greenland? Joe Burrow's dating like Kendall Jenner. Is that actually true? And James Harden's going to get traded from the LA Clippers? Like, what the hell's going on here? Now, Giannis, we could all see that coming, right? The James Harden thing, I don't think anybody saw coming. And I have a pretty strong opinion on what should happen here. And just on James Harden, right, who I think the motivation is pretty clear, wants to win a championship. Age 36, you can make the case that out of every player in the NBA right now, he is the best one to have not won a championship. And will go down in the history of the league if he doesn't win one. He'll be like mentioned in the same breath as Charles Barkley and Karl Malone. Best players to not win an NBA championship. And even though the Clippers have been on a roll since their atrocious start, the Clippers start 6-21. The Clippers have won 17 of 22 games. So they've been red hot. But despite that, they're currently still the 9 seed in the Western Conference and are 6.5 games behind the 6 seed. So, in all likelihood, this is a play-in team that's going to have to deal with OKC or Denver in the first round. And I think James Harden's looking at the situation and looking at the Kawhi Leonard situation with aspiration and all that nonsense Pablo Torre found out in the offseason. And he's probably like, listen, I want to try and get a chip, and I need to get out right now in order to make that happen. And I don't know if I blame him. And a lot of people will dog on James Harden, and I have throughout the years, like a lot of people have. He's a playoff choker, and that's not even up for debate. But I don't think you can question what he's brought to the LA Clippers. He has been available when Kawhi Leonard has not. He has been a big-time performer when others have not. And look, they go to the playoffs last year, and he's miserable in the final couple games against the Nuggets, what it mattered the most. But that's kind of like his deal. But he's been there. I don't think you can look at what James Harden's done as an LA Clipper and say, he didn't give it his all. I don't think you can say that. Which doesn't mean if you're a Clippers fan, I don't know, are there Clippers fans? I don't know. You can't be pissed at him. I'd be pissed if I were a Clippers fan. But you can understand it. So let's assume that a deal gets done in between now and the deadline on Thursday. There are a couple teams being floated out there, and I'll give you my strong opinion on who I think should make the trade for James Harden. Number one is the Minnesota Timberwolves. And for me, that's a non-starter until they figure out the Giannis situation. And Harden can be a fallback option, and he's a huge upgrade over Mike Conley. Just like, what do you have to trade from a potential championship contending roster to bring James Harden in? There's the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the rumored swap would be Darius Garland for James, and maybe some more for James Harden. Now, Garland's 10 years younger than James Harden. So for the Clippers, I think this is a pretty good deal if they're able to make that happen. And for the Cavs, it would be they can't count on Darius Garland to stay healthy. And as crazy as it sounds, I think you can depend on James Harden to be there in the biggest spots. But to me, if I want to make a bet on a team to win the NBA championship this year, it would not be the Cavs with James Harden, even in a wide-open Eastern Conference. It's James Harden's old team, the Houston Rockets, where he had the vast majority of his professional success, winning an MVP in 17-18, 8+ seasons in Houston. And we said it before the year. The Fred VanVleet torn ACL probably took the legs out from under this team before the season even started. Because Reed Shepard's a good young player, the 3rd overall pick in last year's NBA draft. They need a true floor general. And if the Rockets would be able to swing a trade for Harden and bring him in with Durant and Amen Thompson and Şengün, and we'd see what the package would be, and they have a lot of draft picks to trade. I think this is a no-brainer for the Rockets if they can pull this off. Because as constituted right now, the Rockets, I don't think, can beat either OKC or Denver in a 7-game series. But if you bring James Harden in, and we don't know what the compensation would be, but if it's Harden and the principal players of the Houston Rockets, maybe you still don't think Houston could beat OKC or Denver, but you have to acknowledge that have a better chance of making it happen, and this would be Harden as the 3rd banana as opposed to the 2nd or even the 1st, which I think suits him way, way better as a playoff performer than what we've seen from him in the past with a lot of playoff chokes. We're just getting started here, Radio Row on this terrific Football Tuesday. Nick Kostos, you bet on Westwood One Sports. It's early. Radio Row is starting to fill up. On the other side, we will be joined by my friend, the great Solomon Wilcots of SiriusXM NFL Radio. We'll talk to Solly about his Cincinnati Bengals, where he played in a Super Bowl, lost to Joe Montana and the 49ers. We'll get Solly's takes on Super Bowl 60. Joey Knish still to come this hour as well. Keep it locked here. You Better You Bet Westwood One Sports with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM.
Yeah, this is almost really a 1A, 1B for me. I mean, I love Wrigley Field with a fiery passion, but I've been to this venue, and it is iconic. I think it's still a little bit underrated on the national scene, and it is unlike any other sports arena in the country to see a hoops game, and that's Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, the home of the Purdue Boilermakers. Of course, Illinois just won there over the weekend, but you're right on top of the action. They see about 14,000 in there. It is rowdy, it is raucous, and it is downright loud. It is unlike any other basketball arena in the country. You know, some of the, the ones that are, they're all in the round, obviously, but like the United Center is rather cavernous. This is not, even though it's got 14,000 people in there. Again, you're right on top of everything. You can hear everything. It's just an amazing place. The energy is through the roof, and bar none, my opinion, Mackey Arena takes the cake here. Best venue in sports to see any type of game, and preferably, of course, hoops.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports. Terrific Tuesday. Joining me right now on the show, one of my all-time favorites. We go back a long way.
Yes, we do.
And a former NFL player, opening drive, Sirius XM NFL Radio, doing great stuff with our friends at Koya Therapeutics.
Yep.
The great Solomon Wilcott. Solly, welcome to the show. How are you, my friends?
Nick, I'm so happy to be on with you, my friend. Yeah, we do go way back, our old days at Sirius XM NFL Radio. Now look at you. You're big time now. I'm seeing you.
I gotta tell you, man, it always makes me sad when I come to radio, and this is my insecurity, right? When I come to Radio Row and I know that I don't look as good as I did last year, and I'm sitting next to someone who looks better than they did last year. What's the workout been like for you? You look great, man.
You know what? I walk every day. I do a 1-hour walk every day for about 3 miles. It's really good for my processing and everything and decompressor, right? But I do a workout each morning. I do the show, Sirius XM NFL Radio, get a little bit more of my day work with our PR firm and some of our clients, and I go for my daily walk. So it's just a daily regimen of sticking to it. And then, you know what they say, bodies are made in the kitchen, not in the gym. You got to watch what you eat.
That's why I got this gut, man, because I go to the gym and then I eat chicken cutlets at night.
Hey, you got to watch that. You got to watch it.
So tell me about the walk quickly, because I'm always fascinated by things like this, and then we'll talk some football.
I got this from...
Do you listen to music? Are you silence? Tell us about the walk.
I listen to music. I listen to podcasts. I do audio books. So I'm taking in a lot of information, but I'm making sure I keep all the politics stuff out of it. I don't do any of that because your energy tends to go up. So I try to keep it strictly about either sports or just really, because I'm a big history buff. I love history, so I love reading books that I don't deal with fiction, so it's a nonfiction type stuff where I'm learning about history and learning about people.
What are your thoughts on Bad Bunny's halftime? I'm kidding.
No,
I'm kidding.
Hey, but did you see Bad Bunny at the Grammys last night?
They won one album of the year.
Bad Bunny's a bad dude.
Going to get people really excited about
That's
one
right.
way or another about the halftime show
yeah.
coming up. So speaking of reading, I am reading right now Bill Walsh's book on leadership.
Wonderful.
The Score Takes Care of Itself is the name of the book. Now, you guys obviously with the Bengals played Walsh in the late 80s. Do you have any that Super Bowl, any obviously you guys didn't win the game, but any memories from those games or those times to share with the audience?
Well, you got to understand, going into that Super Bowl, we knew everything about Bill Walsh because Bill Walsh started his career as an offensive coordinator under Paul Brown for the Cincinnati Bengals. Kenny Anderson was an MVP playing in that offense, the West Coast system, playing for the Cincinnati Bengals. And so Sam Weish, who had worked with him as an offensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers when they drafted Joe Montana, we ran the same offense with Boomer Esiason. And so I knew that offense.
And was MVP that year,
That's
right?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
He was the MVP. So I knew that offense very well. I just had a good feel for it. Many of us did defensively, and Dick LeBeau was our defensive coordinator.
How fun! He was around for I didn't even know that.
He was our defensive
and
coordinator.
future head coach of the Bengals.
He was the
Dick
DB
LeBeau.
coach. He was the DB coach and the coordinator. He did it all.
Yeah.
This guy's a genius, by the way.
Yeah.
And remember that game was tied, 6-6 at halftime? So the great 49er defense did not go up and down the field on us. No, it was a really tight game up until the final 40 seconds when everybody knows John Taylor scored the game-winning touchdown. But no, look, we had a lot of respect for Bill Walsh, a lot of respect for Joe Montana and Roger Craig and Jerry Rice. Are you kidding me? I mean, that was a Hall of Fame offense, and we knew it. We knew who they were. It was a hard-hitting game. It came down to great defenses, great offense, but it came down to that last score. So I still look back on that game with great memories. All I can remember was John Taylor getting that touchdown in that last few seconds. And when they scored it, we kind of knew that, man, we had them, but we let them off the hook.
You rest in peace to the great Denny Green.
That's right.
You mentioned Roger Craig.
Yeah.
Speaking of Hall of Fame coaches named Bill, or soon to be Hall of Fame coaches named Bill.
Yeah.
So Roger Craig is on the senior ballot, and Bill Belichick doesn't get into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. And a lot of people, myself included, are thinking, how the hell can this happen? And yesterday on the show, I had Mike Sando on from The Athletic, who basically kind of became the mouthpiece for the voters in the wake of all of this becoming public. And he said that he thinks that things need to change, and maybe there needs to be more transparency. You played the game at the highest level. You've worked for NFL radio for a long time. You know everybody in the league. What was your opinion on Belichick not making it on the first ballot and kind of the tarnishing of the reputation that I feel like right, wrong, or indifferent has happened to the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I don't think the Pro Football Hall of Fame should be taking a hit. I think they are the guardians of our sport. I think they know more than the general population and the public. Now, maybe if the public knew what they knew, they may agree. They might even disagree. I thought that, Bill Belichick should have gone into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. If I had a vote, I would have voted for him. But you can't tell me that it's not a fair discussion, right? I think it's an appropriate discussion to talk about everything that is on the ledger here. Did he change the game by winning 6 Super Bowl titles during his coaching career in New England? Yes. Did he cheat? Yes. In fact, he coined the phrase, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. You ever heard of it? You talk to his players, they'll tell you that. Does he have a guy named Ernie Adams on the payroll during those years who's a former, who worked at Annapolis, Maryland with him and grew up around that environment? Do they have techniques where they listen? You talk to any coach and go in there and play the game, they'll tell you that you start talking, the headsets will go out. That static is in the headsets. Sounds like someone's listening. Did they get caught recording other teams? Yes. So it's an appropriate conversation to have for those voters in that room to ask to what extent is this something we should be dealing with? And I'm okay with them having that discussion. Again, I would have come out with a different opinion, but I'm not going to crucify them for coming out with an opinion where not 80% of the people didn't vote for him, because guess what? Some of those people might have saw that Roger Craig gets his last year on the ballot. And if you don't get him in this year, he's not going to make it. Kenny Anderson, L.C. Greenwood. I don't know that anyone, I don't care how great you are, has a right to say that I should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know that anyone can fix their lips to say that.
So Jimmy Johnson was pretty annoyed, the legendary Cowboys coach.
He has a right to be.
Absolutely,
right to
yeah.
be.
And right, wrong, or indifferent, he kind of came out, and I'm paraphrasing here, and basically said, like lots of coaches, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't say this exactly, but if the extent of it is, if you think no one's doing this, you are wrong. In your experience being around the NFL, do you think that cheating is a strong word, or bend the rules, cheating if you want to say that, is that more prevalent than people imagine, or you think this is kind of like an isolated thing?
First of all, I'm just going to say I don't know that anyone else was caught cheating. I know that Bill Belichick was.
Yep, that's fair.
So why are we going to cast doubt on everyone else? Did Jimmy Johnson deal with the fact that Bill Belichick was caught cheating? Did he deal with the fact that Bill Belichick did have to pay a $250,000 fine? Did he deal with the fact that the Patriots paid a $500,000 fine? You think they're paying $500,000 because nothing happened? If you watch the documentary about the Patriots done by their owner, Robert Kraft, it's in the documentary. He said, I called Bill into our office, says, do we have to do this? Bill said no. Then he asked Bill, well, why are we doing it?
Well, do you like the trophies,
he said,
Robert?
well, why are we doing it? No, the point that I'm making is, why are you cheating? These things were in the documentary. So we know it to be fact. This is not hyperbole. But yet we rather cast aspersion on all these great coaches and put doubt on maybe if you're guilty at something, wouldn't you want to say, well, everybody does it? But how does that work in court? How does that work when you go to court and you're sitting there and the judge and the jury, and then your defense is everybody does it? You know what the judge is going to say, but we caught you.
Can I?
It's not a defense. I'm sorry, it's just not.
Can I have you come argue on my behalf with my wife?
Anytime.
That was really good.
Anytime.
You bet on this Tuesday. Nick Kostos, Solomon Wilcots at Solomon's Wisdom on social media. Opening drive on Sirius XM NFL Radio. We'll talk about Koya Therapeutics coming up in a moment. Before we get to Super Bowl 60, Cincinnati, former Bengals player, have done a lot of stuff with the team. I kind of can't believe where the team's at right now. With Burrow being where he's at in his prime, gets hurt again, another down season for Cincinnati. How close do you think the Bengals are to being back in the mix next year?
I know this. 5 years ago, we were in L.A. 2021 season had ended. Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow's second season, he's in the Super Bowl. And so were the Rams. right? The Rams won that game, but they've been back to the playoffs every year except maybe once. They were in the NFC title game, right, leading up to this Super Bowl.
8 days ago.
And the Bengals haven't been in the playoffs each of the last 3 years. So those two teams in that same time span went from Super Bowl contender to going in different directions. That's leadership at the very top of the organization. It's not about the quarterback, that's for certain.
Can I ask you a different question?
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you my opinion here, and it's going to sound harsh, but it's what I believe. I agree with you. And at some point, given how good Burrow is, and look, like the defensive players may not be like what they were when you were playing, right? But they should not be missing the playoffs. My opinion would be, I can't believe that he's still the coach of the team. And that doesn't mean he's a bad guy or he couldn't be a successful head coach elsewhere. Are you surprised that Zach Taylor's still the head coach of this team?
I'm not, because that would be like killing a mosquito with a bazooka. The offense isn't what's wrong with the team. You get what I'm saying? He's the offense. He's the head coach, but he runs the offense. He calls the plays on offense. He hires a defensive coordinator, and the defense falls under the coordinator. He's like the head coach of the defense, whoever that coordinator is. Cincinnati Bengals have scored 30 or more points in 16 games over the last 2 seasons, and they've lost nearly half of those.
It's wild.
Games. So that's because they can't get stops. I mean, they lost a game to the Jets, for crying out loud, and Justin Fields, because they couldn't stop Justin Fields.
I mean, the Bears game with Colston Loveland is just like, it's insane.
They scored 42 points that day and gave up 49. But yet we're going to fire Zach Taylor? No, that's the part that's working. And obviously he's so connected with Joe Burrow that you got to say, hey, Joe, is this a good idea? I would suspect that if you would have phrased that question to Joe Burrow, he would say no. We're not firing Zach Taylor. That's not the answer to this question. The question is, what are you going to do to improve the defense? What did they do last year? I'll tell you, nothing.
The new coach, Al Golden.
They went out and they re-signed T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, and then they sat on their hands. They acted as if it was Lou Anarumo's problem, and it wasn't. You might want to start looking. You know what they say in big-time moments in game, think players, not plays. Well, when you're getting drug up and down the field and giving up a lot of points, think players, not the defensive coordinator. Think about the player.
And I can only imagine you as a former player in the secondary. I'm not asking you to call this guy out. Some of these angles that Jordan Battle takes on some of these plays are like, I never played, and I'm like, what's this?
Poor tackling, poor angles, not making enough plays defensively. That's all 11 guys. By the way, without a Trey Hendrickson, you're not getting pressure on the opposing quarterback. You've got no one at the linebacker position because you traded, a Logan Wilson to Dallas in the middle of the season.
Do you like the young linebackers like Barrett Carter? You like these guys?
Give me something to like right now.
Yeah, fair enough, right? Demetrius Knight, yeah.
I think they have great potential, but I haven't seen anything that pops. I know this. I remember when Ray Lewis, his rookie year in Baltimore, I remember saying, who the hell is number 52? They can't block him. Right. The guy's making every tackle.
Yeah.
I mean, you players who can play jump out at you.
Right. Yeah.
We don't have to wait for you to become a player. I shouldn't have to convince myself if you're the guy.
Like Shamar Stewart.
Prove to me you're the guy.
Yeah.
And that's why watching football is a real honest assessment. We shouldn't have to convince ourselves of who can and can't play. The proof is in the pudding. It's what you do out on that field in between the lines that convinces us that you're a player.
Who's going to win the Super Bowl?
I love Seattle right now, and not in an overwhelming fashion because I love Mike Vrabel. I love what the Patriots are bringing. This game it's about the defenses, guys, but it's more importantly about the quarterback that makes the fewest mistakes. We're not going to ask the quarterback to go out and win us a Super Bowl here. We're not asking Sam Darnold or Drake May, go out and win it. We're asking them to not lose it. Against these two defenses, it comes down to that.
Seahawks win a close game in your estimation?
Yes, in my mind. It's like when Tom Brady was jumping up and down when Malcolm Butler stole the ball from Russell Wilson.
Right.
Defense wins championships. This game proves it.
MVP of the game will be who and why?
They're not going to give it to a defensive guy.
Well, I mean, they did the last time the Seahawks won, right?
Well, they didn't give it to when Malcolm Butler made the game-deciding play at the 1-yard line, right, with 20 seconds to go. He was not named the
Tom
MVP.
Brady wanted,
That's right.
Yeah.
That's all. That's what I'm referencing here. So Jackson Smith and Jigba sort of is a guy that kind of stands out to me. I think if the Patriots win it, they're going to probably give it to an offensive guy. and it'll probably be Drake May.
Okay, so Drake May if the Patriots, JSN for Seattle.
Yes.
Tell us about the work you're doing with our friends at Koya Therapeutics.
Well, Koya Therapeutics, they're working on a novel approach to stop ALS, this dreaded disease, in its track. They currently have a drug that's in clinical trial, and right now is showing very promising signs.
That's awesome.
Because ALS, right now, roughly 5,000 people in the U.S. contract this deadly disease on an annual basis. Now, we know it is a rare disease. Roughly one person in the general population of 400 people, 1 out of 400, contract this disease every single year. But in the football population, you take professional football players, it's 1 out of 100. So you're 4 times likely to contract this disease.
Dwight Clark,
if you
Steve
play.
McMichael,
That's right.
two recent.
Steve Gleason, remember Steve
Of course,
Gleason?
it's Steve, thank God, is still alive.
Absolutely, and Dwight Clark isn't. He lost his fight with this disease. Tim Green, remember the great announcer with Fox? He had played for the Atlanta Falcons. So we wanted to bring attention to this and let people know that there are drugs that we just need to get it across the finish line. There's more study that needs to happen, but right now, tremendous promise with this drug that's being worked on with Koya Therapeutics. And you can go to their website at trials.koyatherapeutics.com to find out more information. If you have a family member or friend who's dealing with this disease, you want to get them into this clinical trial because that's what we need to help get this across the finish line. We need more promising data, more information, but right now it's shown to be very promising. We have to find something that just can stop it in its tracks.
Yes.
There are no cures to date, but if we can find something that can stop it from progressing, that would be a tremendous win.
Trials.koyatherapeutics.com,
That's right.
COYA therapeutics.com, trials.koyatherapeutics.com. I would never tell people to not listen to my show, but Solly's show on NFL radio is pretty good around the same time, 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern. Solly, you're the best. Enjoy the Super Bowl. We'll catch up soon.
You're the best, my friend. Thanks for having us.
Solomon Wilcott's joining us here on You Better You Bet. More from Radio Row right after this.
You know I'm going to take Illinois, my friend. And I know I'm having some connectivity issues right now, so hopefully you're going to be hearing me clearly on this. But Tyler Underwood, Brad Underwood's kid, who was on the staff, was interviewed today. And Illinois has, implemented some very creative schematics. And Tyler Underwood is responsible for Keaton Wagler, a guy that dropped 46, a true freshman sensation last time out against Purdue. He's been a revelation this year. But according to Tyler Underwood, he goes, hey, I talked to some of the assistants of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I talked to some of the assistants of the Boston Celtics, and he has taken some things from their playbook, picking their minds, and installed them in Illinois. Illinois spreads you out. They're the longest team in the country. That's pure fact, folks. They're number one in average height in the nation, and a team that generates a lot of second chance opportunities. The East Block Illini, they have a lot of Euros on this team. They're spectacular. They're well-oiled. They need to really tighten up defensively, but they are better than Michigan State. They may lose in East Lansing. A lot of people do, but Michigan State offensively still has some question marks. An outstanding defensive team, one of the best in the country, one of the best rebounding teams in the nation as well. But built for March, that's Illinois because of spacing, because of guard play, because of their sheer length. ILL again. No bias bleeding through it all.
Darnold in the gun, gets the snap, four-man rush, moves up, backpedals, throws end zone, caught, touchdown. Far side, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba. And Seattle has grabbed the lead on a 14-yard touchdown reception by one of the great young receivers in pro football, Jackson, Smith, and Jigba.
This is You Better You Bet, live from San Francisco on Westwood One Sports. Here's your host, Nick Kostos.
The great Kevin Harlan on the call of the NFC Championship game, obviously won by the Seahawks since, they're the ones playing for the Super Bowl out of the National Football Conference in a couple days against the New England Patriots. Pro sports bettor Joey Knish, our good pal, will join us in just a moment here on the show. But we got to tell you about our sponsor, the great people at BetMGM, because the biggest game of the year calls for a boost pack that's just as big. BetMGM rolling out the big game boost pack, and it gives you 3 different ways to boost the odds on your next big game bet. Here's how it works. First, log in and your big game boost pack will be waiting for you. Next, add any big game bet to your bet slip and activate the boost token you want to use. And finally, if that bet hits with a token activated, you're getting extra winnings on top of your payout. So if you want to add a little more excitement to your big game action, who doesn't? Make sure you grab the big game boost pack from BetMGM. Make it legendary. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. Speaking of gambling responsibly or not, always gamble responsibly. Our friend, pro sports bettor Joey Knish, joins us on the show on Twitter at JoeyKnish22, host of one of the best college football betting shows around, Hit the Books with our friend Brad Powers. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it in podcast form as well. I wish he was here in San Francisco. I think he'd fit right in this city. Knish, welcome to the show. Happy Super Bowl week, my friend.
Nicky K, I'm hearing from people on the ground, you're just strutting around Radio Row. You got the new show. He's big time in people. He's saying, oh, is that Tom Brady? Get him over here. That's what we need on this show. So glad you're there, my friend. Good to talk to you.
You know, I do think, and I've said this to Kanish, I think I've said it on air. I've definitely said it off air. If Kanish ever decided to quit his 9 to 5, and I'm not even talking bet professionally, but like be a talent professional, like what I do for a living. I actually think you'd be great at it. Maybe one day you'll be here at Radio Row broadcasting, my friend. But until then, let's get the best bets from you coming up for Super Bowl 60. So we'll do side, we'll do total, we'll do props, all that good stuff. And I'm hoping the Kanishi Moles have given you some information on some of the more esoteric props. Gatorade color. I don't know if we've got any of that info yet, but I will certainly ask the question. Let's start with the side, my friend, of Super Bowl 60. Seattle, a juiced 4.5-point favorite against New England. And I will preface your answer by saying, and I led the show with this. Now, I've only been here for a day and a half, but no one I've talked to on air or off air thinks the Patriots are going to win. Everybody likes Seattle. How are you betting the side of the game? Seattle and New England. Seattle a 4.5-point favorite at BetMGM.
I couldn't be more with you in terms of that's all I hear. And that's all, like, the Patriots' fraudulence is just, like, the only narrative going in. They haven't played anybody. They've gotten lucky. They've got, the injured best player on every team going into it. And I got to tell you, and as the Boston, I'm sure you got a lot of listeners in that area. If they know Joey K, they know I'm not a New England guy. I'm not a Boston fan guy. And I just got this sneaky feeling that the Patriots are going to make this one again. I think they've got the better defense. I think they've got the defense that's healthy. I'm not saying they'll win. I'm not
better than the Seahawks defense. You like the Patriots defense better than the Seahawks defense?
I think fully healthy, this Patriots defense is the better unit going into, and especially the way they've been playing. I'm telling you, I got that feeling in the old Nicky narrative gut feeling. I think we got a ball game. I don't think this is going to be one either way. Gun to my head. Oh, and look, the dogs are barking. The dogs are barking here, baby.
Literally and figuratively.
I think, gun to my head, I'm going to have a little bit of Patriots in the 4.5.
Wow. Now, money line as well, or just the plus 4.5? You think Seattle wins a close game?
It's the Super. I would get gun to my head. I think Seattle. If the end result, Seattle in a close game, but Super Bowl, I'll probably have a little sprinkle on the money line, but a real bet on the 4.5.
What's really funny about this is exactly how I started the show. A lot of people, no one thinks New England's going to win, and I know you're saying they could. Seattle in a close game or Seattle big. So Kanish on that side as well with Seattle to win Super Bowl 60, but Kanish will bet the Patriots plus 4.5. And my guess is we're going to hang out in this 4.5, 5 range, right? Like we're not going to come down to 4. We're not going to go up to 6. Is that fair to say, Kanish?
Yeah, I would agree. I think if you get any 4s, you'd have buyers at a flat 4. If you got to even 6 seems even more unrealistic. Maybe you get a late Patriots wave, but for the most part, I think this is going to be trading around 4. Can't really see. You'd have buyers at 4. You'd have buyers at 6, obviously. So that 4.5, the 4.5 to 5 range is probably where it's going to land.
Just for the non-bettors in the audience, like a much wider audience than we had on the old show, just to say this, I know everybody bets on the Super Bowl, so this is important. The reason why Kanish and I are talking about that 4 and 6, when you get to 4.5, 5, 5.5, it's 4 and 6 are the numbers that matter. So we're going to hover in this dead zone area here where 4.5, 5, and 5.5 are not totally the same number, but might as well be the same bet. I don't think we'll go to Seattle minus 4. Kanish telling you there'd be interest on Seattle, and at Patriots 6, there would certainly be. I bet Patriots plus 6 and not even think twice about it. You bet on this Tuesday. Pro sports bettor Joey Kanish is our guest on Twitter at JoeyKanish22. My friend, the total has been bet towards the under. We sit at 45.5 on this Tuesday morning. What say Joey Kanish about the total of Super Bowl 60?
You know what? The under, it's almost always a universal little bit of move here on the under in the Super Bowl. There's always, the trends, the narrative that the first quarter, the first half under, everyone starts off a little shaky. It gets a little bit, of a slow start there. I got to tell you, though, as this has come down, and now we're getting, I think it's been a little bit suppressed, especially, I know a lot of the stats out there, how the Patriots offense has been very good in the playoffs. I think situationally, that's a lot more driven by who they've played, the weather they've played in. I think the offense is going to have a little bit, and Seattle's offense has just been, in kind of been rolling really for most of the year. As this comes down now, I'm going to probably wait until kind of we get close to post here and then come back on the over. So we'll be looking, kind of the same thing as we're talking about with the spread, where you're kind of looking for, one of those key numbers there. If we can get this down, another half point or so, I'm going to come back on the over. I think we'll still see a little bit of, kind of trend towards the under move there. And then probably last minute, day of the game type of thing, I'll be looking to come back, especially, flat 45, pretty key number in total, flat 45. If we can get that, I'll be looking to come back on the over in this one.
So again, if you're someone out there listening, watching the show, and you want to bet Super Bowl 60, not that our friend Joey Knish has to be right, but a very respected member of the betting community, Patriots and the over will be the looks for Knish, and he wants to bet over 45. We're not there yet, but what Knish is telling you is there may be interest in the under that gets us to 45 in between now and kickoff. My friend, what about MVP? Give that to me in about 30 seconds. How are you betting most valuable player?
You know what? I know the quarterbacks are kind of the big ones where, you get that. For me, if there's a bet that I'm making an MVP, it would be Smith and Jigma here, where JSN at around, the 5-1 price in kind of 4-1, 5-1, depending on where you shop. I think he's right now probably the best offensive weapon in the game, had the season. If the Seahawks are going to win this one, coming off of also, a big-time NFC Championship game, I think he's primed for another, pretty big game. That would be the one of kind of the main board that I'd be looking at if you're not trying to, take one of the quarterbacks to win.
Let's go lightning round here. Any yardage props that you like here? 30 seconds.
Drake May, under 5.5 first quarter rushing yards. So we got that one. I think first up, they're not going to get him. I think you'll see as the game goes on, maybe he gets more in the scramble, but I don't think he'll have any of those design runs early. Maybe they're looking to protect the shoulder. He's a Vrabel, a little bit of a defensive coach. I think they'll try and establish the run a little bit on the early side. Let's go May, first quarter, under 5.5 yards. I think the only way he gets is on, broken player scramble. Don't think you'll see more of the full package until later in the game if they need to.
On our friend Rob Pizzola's prop show, and that's the bet I'm going to give out, and I'm going to present it as my own coming up on the Hammer Betting Extravaganza, prop betting extravaganza tomorrow. Any other yardage props you like, or any novelty props, Knish? And we have a solid, I would say, 60 seconds for the answer.
I think you might get, and this one's a little bit of not yardage prop, but if you're going to go, let's just talk a throw out there, long shot, fun for the people, would be a George Holani anytime TD or thing. And, I think you'll get a lot of Kenneth Walker in this game. Holani, I'm not saying he did not look particularly good in the NFC Championship game, but Seattle likes to rotate backs. It wasn't like a Kenneth Walker got every single carry type of thing. So for me, if you can get Holani, I see some anytime 5-1, 6-1, some first TD, 25-1, 30-1, that type of thing. To me, worth a little sprinkle there, as I know Walker will be the main featured guy, but they're still going to give Holani that 25% share of that. Not the same as Charbonnet, but enough to where I think that price has got a little bit of if you want a longer shot to sprinkle on a little bit there for Holani.
Joey Knish is the best at Joey Knish 22. The Hammer hit the books. Great college football betting show with our friend Brad Powers. My friend, thank you for joining me. Best of luck betting the Super Bowl. I'll catch up with you soon.
Thank you, my sir. Good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
The great Joey Knish joining us on the show again. He is a real deal bettor, and he's very entertaining. I would listen to what he says as it concerns betting the Super Bowl 60. Hour one done. Who's coming up next, Bill? Who's starting next hour? Oh, Pat Daugherty from NBC Sports joins us coming up next here from Radio Row in San Francisco.
to take Illinois, my friend. And I know I'm having some connectivity issues right now, so hopefully you're going to be hearing me clearly on this. But Tyler Underwood, Brad Underwood's kid, who is on the staff, was interviewed today. And Illinois has, implemented some very creative schematics. And Tyler Underwood is responsible for Keaton Wagler, a guy that dropped 46, a true freshman sensation last time out against Purdue. He's been a revelation this year. But according to Tyler Underwood, he goes, hey, I talked to some of the assistants of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I talked to some of the assistants of the Boston Celtics, and he has taken some things from their playbook, picking their minds, and installed them in Illinois. Illinois spreads you out. They're the longest team in the country. That's pure fact, folks. They're number one in average height in the nation, and a team that generates a lot of second chance opportunities. The East Block Illini, they have a lot of Euros on this team. They're spectacular. They're well-oiled. They need to really tighten up defensively, but they are better than Michigan State. They may lose in East Lansing. A lot of people do, but Michigan State offensively still has some question marks. An outstanding defensive team, one of the best in the country, one of the best rebounding teams in the nation as well. But built for March, that's Illinois because of spacing, because of guard play, because of their sheer length. ILL again. No bias bleeding through it all.
The biggest names in the business are on You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening as you do every day to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, brought to you by BetMGM.
You Better You Bet Westwood One Sports presented by BetMGM. Nick Kostos here with you live from San Francisco, California, Radio Row. Super Bowl 60 coming up on Sunday with the Patriots and the Seahawks. And joining me, is this the first time we've had you on the show? I was going to say,
this is a collaboration long in the making.
It is long in the making. I have been a fan of this guy for a long time. And our listeners and viewers know that I am a huge fantasy football player, a huge fantasy football fan. Pat Daugherty, I got it, right?
You did. You nailed it. You
Dory, but say it really fast.
It's one of those names, if you think about it, you're screwed. You just got to say it. You got to hit it.
Pat Daugherty of NBC Sports, the Rotoworld football show, amazing fantasy football content. And I'll take it a step further. I love just like your NFL writing, I think is exceptional. And I always share it every year. You do a coach ranking and a GM ranking.
That's right.
When does that come out?
The coaches around April 1st. The GMs a little bit after the draft. I wish this were, no, I don't wish this were, this is not a joke, a fifth child in March. And that might delay it a little bit. But early April, early May for the rankings. And yes, they'll be out this year.
At RotoPad on Twitter. Very rude of me to not ask you, how are you, my friends?
I'm very good. Yeah, I'm just getting this West Coast, man. This time out here, like I have no clue. Is it 2 in the morning? I think.
So
right now.
what I always say, just from since I started doing the show in 2019, I think I have done 0 events on Eastern time.
No.
I wake up. Because I've done a bunch of shows in Vegas from when we were primarily a betting show. I will wake up in the middle of the night, the first couple nights that I'm away on the West Coast. I don't know what city I'm in.
No.
I'm
you never know.
Where's my wife?
Yeah.
What time is it? Have I overslept? Have you had a similar experience?
In Vegas, the Vegas Super Bowl, I did not go outside for over 48 hours. Not a joke. Like, truly did not sit outside until I went to the Golden Knights game. I was like, oh, wow, there's still an outside. And then it was raining in Las Vegas. So I know it's always on the West Coast. Big event, as it were, has just given up on the East Coast. Big events only take place west of the Rocky Mountains now. And yeah, I never ever know what day it is, what time it is. Yeah, who my family is. Like, people tell me I have 5 kids. I guess that sounds true.
Super Bowl 61, by the way, next year in Los Angeles. So we're coming back to the West Coast for that. Okay. So I talk about my daughter on the show a lot. She turns 2 in May. And my wife and I, we'd like to have a second child, right? And we talk about sometimes, like, what's it going to be like? What a question. when we have a second kid.
Well,
you're about to have how?
Well, so the biggest jump is 1 to 2, as you've probably heard, because then not only is it another kid to keep track of, but then the kids will gradually start occupying each other.
Oh.
This is actually a very underrated part of having a second kid.
Yeah.
Is that with one, they expect 24-hour-a-day attention. With the second, they can start giving attention to each other, so it actually lessens the strain. And so now with 5, the kids don't even need us. Like, they take care of it themselves. Yeah, they take driverless cars coming to the Midwest soon.
Yeah.
Maybe they won't even need us for that. My main job as a father is just driving them around everywhere. So, but 2 will be until the second one can start walking around and talking. It'll be a bit of a challenge, but after that, it's smooth sailing.
This is probably. I know it's a silly question. I feel like I say this to my wife sometimes. I do. But I almost don't want to have another kid.
No, you should. You should.
I'm going to.
Yeah.
But, like, I love my daughter so much, and I feel like I will not love another child as much as I love her. But it's not true.
No,
right?
it's not true. That's a very common fear, too. That's always the worst part of having another kid is you're just establishing your equilibrium, then resetting. Like, the idea of resetting for this 5th child is almost unfathomable. There's been a 3-year layoff, too. Like, we're really in a groove. That is almost unfathomable. I felt the same way. I'm like, there'll never be another kid as perfect as Amelia.
Yeah.
But then they are. So they're all equally perfect and equally bad. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. So don't worry about that part.
What is your one biggest takeaway from this fantasy football season that has ended?
Biggest takeaway from this fantasy football. I'm going to filibuster. I'm just going to keep saying that like 10 or 11 times in a row. Biggest takeaway. I don't know.
I think you should be hosting radio. Because that's basically what I do for a living.
Let me
is
think
filibuster.
about that one.
Or like any thoughts you have coming out of the season carrying into next year.
I don't know. Big running back is back. Like the divide, the running back middle class is almost totally gone, I'll say. Where like for a while, like the alpha 3-down back was almost like extinct. Like there was like 2 or 3 of those. Now there's like 8 or 9, but there's like no RB2 middle class right now, I feel like. It's like there's 7 or 8 alpha backs, and then there's like 32 RB27s. That's a big thing. Also, wide receiver depth. We kind of came of age in the fantasy football game, and like the Brady, Breeze, Peyton Manning golden days. And like receiver, there was a certain point where there wasn't a whole lot of difference between like the wide receiver 14 and the wide receiver 36. There was so much passing volume, so much production, that receiver just seemed like it went on forever. Now, like the defensive counter revolution, like that has dried up. There's a big difference between like the wide receiver 17 and like the wide receiver 34 right now. And I just feel like the player pool has gotten a little smaller at the 2 most important positions, running back and receiver, because the counter revolution has been real. Like defense is not like dominating the league, but it's no longer as imbalanced as it was at the end of that Brady and Manning golden age.
What's so interesting about what you just said is I've kind of thought here, and it depends on how big your league is. And I'll say my favorite home league that I'm in is it's 14 of us.
Oh, yeah.
Multiple keepers.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone takes it really seriously.
Doing it upright.
And it reaches a point, right, where if you don't have a top pick, I actually think like you're up against it a little bit. So I ended up with my first 2 picks, the league I care about the most. I took Ashton Genty. McCaffrey went right in front of me. I was devastated. And then when it came time for my second-round pick, there were no good answers.
No.
It's like I took Tyreek Hill to get tears his ACL early in there, but it's Tyreek Hill.
JSN was there. JSN was there, I'll say. He was there in the second round this year.
Yeah. I agree with you on the pool getting smaller. Do you think that, like, draft position's going to be... Because it used to not really be a thing where you could pick at the end of the second round and it didn't matter as much. I actually feel like it did matter this year in fantasy football.
It did matter, and another reason it mattered, I feel like a recent trend that is getting a little under-discussed is that injuries are actually down. Like, I feel like especially at running back, like, there's still a lot of injuries, of course, it's football. But like 10, 12 years ago, we were getting to the point where, like, of the top 36 players, you would maybe have like 12 who finished the season appearing in all 16, 17 games. I feel like the NFL, I don't know if it's been anything they've done intentionally on their part, but injuries have actually come down a little bit. And so, yeah, it used to be one of the reasons draft position didn't matter as much. Just those get hurt anyway. Like, we'll get someone off the waiver wire then. But more players in general are staying healthy, so more of the top picks are staying healthy. So earlier pick last year was very important. Yeah, because like the league, it almost never correlates that way. The leagues last year, I had a top 3 pick, I like won. And the leagues where I was like 10 or 11, I did not win. And that is not typical, as you were saying.
Yeah, and I hope that's not going to be the case.
It won't be. You know, everything's always changing.
You bet Westwood One Sports on this Tuesday, joined by Pat Daugherty from NBC Sports, the Rotoworld football show, at RotoPat on Twitter. By the way, do you know that you're one of, like, you're like the movie The Last of the Mohicans? You're like the last of the sideburns.
I know.
You got the long, like, is this like when you do this, is this like I am making a statement with these sideburns here? What's the thought process behind the sideburns?
Well, I'm a huge Neil Young fan, so it's a tribute to Shaky. Huge Neil Young fan. No, it's not. It has nothing to do with. Neil is a famous sideburn wearer.
You could have fooled.
No, Neil's famous for the sideburns. Everyone needs like some signature hair attribute, though. Like my normal hair is just, it's very standard hair. I needed something to set it apart. So I have noticed this recently. I was looking one day.
You look like Elvis.
I was looking one day at my kid's school. I'm like, none of these guys have not the kids. None of the
right,
none of the dads, and none of these kids have sideburns anymore.
What's wrong with kids nowadays?
None of the other dads had sideburns, and I did feel a little on an island. I think they're going to be coming back because the beard.
So.
The beard had a really long era. The beard's kind of on the way out. Your beard is great, by the way.
Thank you.
The mustache
well manicured.
has very short cycles because people just don't take them. I can grow an amazing mustache, by the way.
You have before,
I
right?
have, yes. I get a lot of requests to bring it back. But there's only so many things you can do on the face. Sideburns are one of them. I'm exploiting a market inefficiency with sideburns, I feel like.
I actually think you need to do like more radio because you're very funny and like you have a great dry sense of humor. Anyway, so we're looking forward to the head coach ranking and the general manager ranking column. Just obviously, we're very early in the process. What is your favorite head coaching hire made in this cycle?
My favorite head coaching hire, let me think about that. 10 openings. The one I wanted to happen that didn't happen, I wanted Robert Saleh to go to the Ravens, I'll say. And I thought Ravens football.
I wanted Brian Flores to go to the Ravens.
I wanted someone who was more Ravens football. Jesse Minter is a really good hire. The problem with this cycle is more like the ones I didn't like.
Yeah, so let me ask that question instead. Which hire or hires did you not like?
The one I was most confused by, Mike McCarthy, he's been so lampooned, it's to the point where he's like underrated. And I thought the Steelers and Ravens in general overrate, like we need to have a 2-decade hire. Like they come out every time the Ravens or Steelers, which only every 2 decades, it seems like that's their focus. I was like the Steelers, I thought especially the Ravens should do this. I'm like, just think in a 2 or 3 year time horizon. You don't need to think in a 2-decade time horizon. So I got backed up where I was going. I thought the Ravens should have made a short-term hire to maximize
Lamar Jackson.
To maximize what remained of Lamar Jackson.
Because now he's a 29-year-old offensive coordinator and play caller coming in and Declan Doyle.
For a second, I was like, where was I going with this?
So you have a fifth child on the way. It's okay.
I wanted the Ravens to make a short-term hire. They made a long-term hire. The Steelers should have made a long-term hire. They made the ultimate short-term hire in Mike McCarthy.
With a roster that can't win,
exactly.
Right?
They made a short-term hire in what is not a short-term situation. So I was very confused by the approaches those two teams took. The Dolphins, I don't love the Hafley hire. I know a lot of people speak highly of Hafley, but like, you don't understand, man. He was like really underrated at Boston College. I'm like, there's kind
With
of
a losing record.
Like, there's kind of a reason he was underrated at Boston College and not like Clemson or Virginia Tech or Miami. Like, that's
that
great.
was very kind to Virginia Tech, by the way.
I know, true.
Even with James Franklin
That's
as
true.
the coach now.
Like, it's great that he was doing yeoman's work in the ACC, but like, that's not a reason to hire you and like, his defense fell apart in 2024. He was kind of a Micah Parsons merchant this year. He was like the classic, too. You could just tell the Dolphins' thought process was, let's get the exact opposite of Mike McDaniel. And, like, mission accomplished there. I did not love the Hafley hire, although he's the kind of guy in #league circles. They love him. They speak very highly of him.
Oh,
so
very, very highly.
Very, very highly.
It's great
of Jeff
energy,
Hafley.
communicates very well, leader of
yeah.
men. You're in these streets, the general manager streets, the front office streets.
Yeah.
Do you like or dislike anything that happened with front offices in this hiring cycle?
Now, the front offices, too, it's like, until you got to just see something, the pedigree just doesn't matter. Because, like, a guy could be the best personnel assistant who's ever lived, and until he's in charge, you have no idea what he's really going to do. You have to see the draft. So the new hires to the GMs, I try to just be very humble. Like, listen, I don't know. Like, I need to see something of a track record here. And the teams, what I will say about GMs and coaches in general, is the teams make much smarter hires than they used to. There's no one's like racing to like, we got to hire Jeff Fisher. We absolutely have to hire John Fox.
Jeff Fisher to work with Jared Goff.
yeah. Like, there used to be a time where it's like,
John Fox got 3 jobs.
Exactly. Like,
he went to a Super Bowl with 2 of them, but yeah.
How do we get Jack Del Rio in a Las Vegas Raiders uniform? And so, in general, now the process is very good for the hires, I'll say. And you don't get as many bad hires as you. In general, the worst you get is an inoffensive hire. Like, I don't even know what to think of this guy. There was a lot of inoffensive hires this year. There weren't many outright bad hires in either the front office or on the sideline.
I want to hit you with one specific team. What do you make of the Jets?
The Jets. I mean,
because I'll tell you, I think there's 2 ways. Well, like the Glenn thing is probably a disaster, but I think if you have that kind of war chest of picks, you can make the case to be really optimistic because like past failure does not have to indicate future failure, right?
No.
What if they nail those picks and they get the quarterback? Then it changes everything.
The problem is, will they nail those picks to the degree they nailed Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams? Because they're still young guys. My main problem with the Jets offseason was, I think they're up to 8 fired assistants.
It's like just fire Glenn.
Exactly. Like, you can't always just fire your coach. 10 teams fired their coach. It was kind of a weak coaching pool because of that, because so many teams, there just weren't that many obvious McVay and Shanahan acolytes
Ben
this year.
Johnson, whatever,
even though they turned them up, there was too much competition. So whatever, you don't fire the head coach. But yeah, if you're going to fire 8 assistants, that kind of screams probably should have just fired the head coach. And because either he's like, was his judgment that bad on the assistants last year? Like, that's not a good sign. Like, we liked him, but we didn't like his judgment with hiring the assistants. Like, how's his judgment any better in year 2? And that was the most curious part of the Jets offseason to me. If you're cleaning house, clean the one thing out that actually matters, the head coach. Glenn was in an almost impossible position, but it struck me as what should have been a one and done.
Let's talk about Super Bowl 60 from the way that the prism that you've viewed the games. Like, who's going to have a big game and why? Give us a skill position player or 2 that you think shows up and shows out on Sunday.
I think it's going to be a rock fight is definitely what I think. And I'm already detecting a lot of Seahawks group think down. Not that like people are like the Seahawks are one of the best teams I've ever seen. It seems the very broad consensus is a Seahawks victory. And I just don't think there's as big of a difference between the 2 teams as some people. The Patriots have the advantage at the number 1 spot. Not a huge advantage with Drake May over Sam Darnold. The Seahawks have the advantage at 2-53. I feel like the Seahawks, though, everyone's focused on how poorly Drake May has played in the playoffs. Like, I feel like the Seahawks have not faced a defense like the Patriots in a long time. And I've heard a lot of the sentiment, like, so many people were claiming it's going to be the same old Sam Darnold this year, and it hasn't been. And it really hasn't been. He did still lead the league in turnovers. He's facing a Patriots defense, a Patriots coach, and Mike Vrabel that puts guys, like, in the blender. And I still don't think, like, Sam Darnold has been, like, totally exonerated or whatever. And I very much worry about that matchup of Sam Darnold versus the Patriots defense. And I think it's in a game. What's the total at? 45 and a half. I'm smashing the under. I'm not a betting guy, to be clear. But I feel like it's going to be like classic. I think it's going to be like the first 3 Patriots playoff games, 19-13 or whatever. It's not going to be one of like these recent Seahawks shootouts. Not that they were involved in that many shootouts this year. I think it's going to look much more like a Patriots game than a Seahawks game. So it's going to be on the Patriots' terms. I think the Seahawks deserve to be favored, but I think it's going to be a very close, low-scoring game.
Give me a player on each team that you think either exceeds or falls short of expectations.
I think Drake May is going to exceed expectations. Because now I think the sentiment's kind of been, I can't believe Drake May.
Let me rephrase this. These are betting questions. So, do you like Drake May over passing yards, for instance, or over rushing yards? And then, for Seattle, give us someone you like.
I like Drake May over. The Rams are tearing holes in the back end of that Seahawks defense where I think they probably put some things on film that a very savvy, sophisticated Patriots coaching staff will be able to take advantage of. I mean, the Seahawks, talk about sophisticated coaching staff, will make adjustments, of course, for 2 weeks. I think Drake May will hit over. Without knowing what the total is, I think May will hit the over. JSN's one of those guys, just don't even bother to do analysis to say they take the over. He's like 2014 Odell Beckham or something. Whatever, just hit the over. He's going to – I lose money betting against JSN is what I would say.
Tell us about the Rotoworld Football Show before we get you out of here.
Denny Carter, my co-host, great guy. We like to joke around. We like to be serious too, though. Got some good – Kevin Clark from ESPN will be on this week. JJ Zachariason at late round QB, fantasy heavyweight, and 2 times a week all off season. We'll talk about my coaches, talk about my GMs. I'm out of breath. It's going to be
RotoPat on Twitter, the Rotoworld Football Show. Thank you very much, my friend.
Nick, overdue. My pleasure.
Pat Daugherty joining us here on You Better You Bet. I screwed it up the last time.
That's all
Pat
right.
Daugherty.
There you go.
Here on You Better You Bet. The show rolls on right after this.
I'm going to take Illinois, my friend. And I know I'm having some connectivity issues right now, so hopefully you're going to be hearing me clearly on this. But Tyler Underwood, Brad Underwood's kid, who was on the staff, was interviewed today. And Illinois has, implemented some very creative schematics. And Tyler Underwood is responsible for Keaton Wagler, a guy that dropped 46, a true freshman sensation last time out against Purdue. He's been a revelation this year. But according to Tyler Underwood, he goes, hey, I talked to some of the assistants of the Oklahoma City Thunder. I talked to some of the assistants of the Boston Celtics, and he has taken some things from their playbook, picking their minds, and installed them in Illinois. Illinois spreads you out. They're the longest team in the country. That's pure fact, folks. They're number one in average height in the nation, and a team that generates a lot of second chance opportunities. The East Block Illini, they have a lot of Euros on this team. They're spectacular. They're well-oiled. They need to really tighten up defensively, but they are better than Michigan State. They may lose in East Lansing. A lot of people do, but Michigan State offensively still has some question marks. An outstanding defensive team, one of the best in the country, one of the best rebounding teams in the nation as well. But built for March, that's Illinois because of spacing, because of guard play, because of their sheer length. ILL again. No bias bleeding through it all.
May in the shotgun. He's got the snap. He's back. He's going to run it along the right hash and into the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots. Drake May on a quarterback draw runs along the right hash, had nothing but green grass in front of him, and scores from 6 yards out.
It's You Better You Bet, live from Media Row in San Francisco on Westwood One Sports. Here's Nick Kostos.
The great Ryan Radke on the call of the AFC Championship game on Westwood One. And all the Westwood One luminaries making their presence felt here on Radio Row. The great Bruce Gilbert here on Radio Row today. How about Ryan McGuire here on Radio Row today? But none bigger than our friend John Romero, who I'm looking at right now. He's an absolute stud. The great John Romero here with us on Westwood One Sports as we continue to break down Super Bowl 60. And our show sponsor is BetMGM, and the biggest game of the year calls for a boost pack. Also, Bill, we need to talk to our guy. Oh, Mike Brown's got it. Mike Brown's been a little slow on the uptick, getting the graphic on the screen here for people watching. People listening, sorry. And like I look like an idiot. I'm reading off this piece of paper here because this read is, like a Huckleberry Finn. It's so long, and I'm reading it here. Can we get the graphic up, please, Mike? Thank you very much. The biggest game of the year calls for a boost pack that's just as big. BetMGM rolling out the big game boost. John Romero likes that. John and Mike, mortal enemies. BetMGM rolling out the big game boost pack, and it gives you 3 different ways to boost the odds on your next big game bet. Here's how it works. First, log in, and your big game boost pack's going to be waiting for you. How easy is that? Next, add any big game bet to your bet slip and activate the boost token you want to use. And finally, if that bet hits with the token activated, you're getting extra winnings on top of your payout. So if you want to add a little more excitement to your big game action, who doesn't? Make sure you grab the big game boost pack from BetMGM so you can make it legendary. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. So look, I'm having a great week. I love being here. The energy's crazy. Like, the days are long, and it's the end of a long season, and we're on the West Coast. But look, I love this stuff. I love being on Radio Row. I love doing the show. I love the energy of being on Radio Row with all the guests. I love the NFL. I love the Super Bowl. I love the people I work with. A lot of my friends are here in the media. I'm generally in a really, 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 really good mood. But a piece of news has broken in the National Football League. that has me feeling pissed. ESPN's Adam Schefter tweeting moments ago in real time that my favorite football team, the New York Football Giants, have hired Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. Matt Nagy will be the offensive coordinator of the New York Football Giants. So let's go back in time to when, I'm going to pace a little bit here, I think. Let's go back in time to when the Giants hired John Harbaugh as their head coach. And remember what I said on this show as a Giants fan, right? Remember what I said. I said, I like the hire of John Harbaugh, but I want to make sure that I like the coordinator, specifically the hire at offensive coordinator. Because John Harbaugh does not bring a schematic advantage as a head coach. This is not a Ben Johnson hire, where Ben Johnson's going to come in and he's going to transform the damn offense by himself. He's not Sean McVay. He's not Kyle Shanahan, and that doesn't mean he can't be great. Great CEO type, has won a Super Bowl, obviously. Has had a great career as the head coach of the Ravens, has had a ton of success. But he's not a guy that gives you a schematic advantage. He's a special teams coach, and I don't say that derisively. Special teams coach, head coach of the Ravens, did great, but he's not an X's and O's guy. He's not someone that shows up like Ben Johnson did, like McVay did, like Shanahan did, like Mike McDonald did on the defensive side of the ball, and gives you an advantage in terms of game planning. So what I said was, I'm into this John Harbaugh hire, but let's see who he brings in specifically as the offensive coordinator. And we thought, honestly, I think I hate the Cleveland Browns now. The Browns and their incompetence screwed this up. Because we thought Todd Monken was going to be the offensive coordinator of the Giants. That news came down from all the NFL insiders, and it's not that they were wrong. No one knew Monken was going to get the Browns job, but it was pretty much assumed that Monken was going to follow John Harbaugh to the Giants, right? He had been the Ravens offensive coordinator, had helped Lamar Jackson win an MVP, now had a brutal game calling the 2023 AFC Championship game where probably should have ran the ball a lot more than they did against the Kansas City Chiefs, but still, Todd Monken did a terrific job as the Ravens offensive coordinator. And I love the idea of Todd Monken coming in and running the New York Football Giants offense with Jackson Dart, helping to take Jackson Dart to the next level. And he obviously has the rapport already with John Harbaugh. So I'm super into the thought of Todd Monken following John Harbaugh. And I said as much on this show. I said it on my social channels at the Kostos, TheKostos, on all the radio hits around the country that I do, all the TV hits around the country that I do. I said, I like the John Harbaugh hire, but I really like it if Todd Monken comes with him. And then we get the news late last week that the Cleveland Browns, who ran this insane coaching search where they're making coaches fill out questionnaires like they're applying to college, end up hiring Todd Monken. And it doesn't mean that Monken can't be awesome in Cleveland. He could be, even though I think they'll be bad next year. They're coming in last next year, the Browns are in the AFC North. The roster's not good enough, and maybe Monken gets it rolling. I'm not saying he's going to suck. But the Browns and the way that whole thing went, passing over Jim Schwartz, who's probably going to leave, and Nate Scheelhaus, and Mike McDaniel pulls out of the coaching search, and, there were rumors that Grant Udinski, the Jaguars offensive coordinator, was going to get the job if he wanted it, and he pulled out of consideration. So Todd Monken's the coach of the Cleveland Browns. And now, he's obviously not going to be the offensive coordinator of the Giants. And the thing that really made me nervous, you bet on this Tuesday, Nick Kostos, Westwood One Sports Live from Radio Row in San Francisco, the site of Super Bowl 60. I'm thinking, okay, maybe it'll be Davis Webb, who's the one-time Giants draft pick at quarterback. He's Josh Allen's best friend, doesn't get the Bills coaching job. And maybe Davis Webb comes and runs the Giants offense. And I'm kind of into that idea, right? Passing game coordinator for Sean Payton and the Denver Broncos. And then I thought the Broncos telegraphed what was going to happen. And I think people in the league and in the media didn't think this was going to happen. And I don't know how that's the case. Everyone's shocked when the Broncos fired Joe Lombardi as their offensive coordinator. People are stunned. Oh, my God. They just went to the AFC Championship game, had their backup quarterback. How do you fire the offensive coordinator? That's not fair. Well, maybe if you think for a second, you know that they're firing him so they can promote Davis Webb so Davis Webb doesn't leave. And lo and behold, Davis Webb's the new offensive coordinator of the Denver Broncos. And the Giants' offensive coordinator position remains vacant. Until now, with Matt Nagy joining as the offensive coordinator. And I will keep an open mind, as I think we all need to do with coaching, because here's the thing, right? If Jackson Dart's awesome, it's not really going to matter. It's not. If Jackson Dart's awesome, everyone's going to look really good as a result. People will get extensions, maybe Nagy gets, because if Dart's great, maybe Nagy gets a head coaching job next year. It's not impossible. But to go as a fan, and forget about being a fan, which is me, right? You as a football fan, even if you're not a Giants fan, you as someone who loves football, which I'm guessing you do. I'm going from Todd Monken to Matt Nagy. I don't want to say it's going from a Ferrari to a Pinto, but maybe you're going from a BMW 5 Series to a Pinto. Flamed out of Chicago. Had the one great year at Trubisky, double doink, million turnovers by the defense, it all goes to hell. Great, goes to Kansas City. Doesn't call plays for the Chiefs, and they couldn't wait to get him out of town and bring back Eric Bieniemy. How great is that? We're not renewing his contract, but we're going to put one of these thank you things out on social media. Thank you, Matt Nagy, also. You're fired. Doesn't get the Titans head coaching job. What a shock. Well, I got to tell, wow, I'm shocked by that. Doesn't go to the Philadelphia Eagles. They couldn't, they wanted John Romero to take that job. John Romero turned them down. Bill Zimmerman interviewed for the Eagles job. They offered him 10 times what he's making to produce my show. He said, no, I'd rather work with Nick. Imagine that. The hire Sean Mannion. Matt Nagy, Giants offensive coordinator. Uninspiring to the max. Chiefs offense brutal last year. Nagy leaves. Bieniemy comes back. And the Giants, Matt Nagy. Matt Nagy. Man, I'm really starting to come to grips with this right now in the moment. I hate it. I hate it. Because, Nagy's running the offense. That's Harbaugh's MO. And I liked Denard Wilson, the defensive coordinator. I like that hire. I do. And the Giants have a ton of talent on the defensive side of the ball. And look, Giants have the 5th pick in the draft. Most mock drafts have them taking Ohio State wide receiver Carnell Tate. So, Neighbors comes back and here's Tate. You hope the offensive line's a little better. Scadaboo comes back healthy along with Tracy. It doesn't have to be bad. And I want to be clear on that. I am not, yesterday, I came on the show and said, I think the Raiders are coming in last in the AFC West, even if Clint Kubiak's the new John Madden. And the Cardinals are coming in last in the NFC West, even if Mike LaFleur is the next Bruce Arians. I had to struggle there. Who's been a good head coach? Ken Whisenhunt for Arizona? So I'm not going to say the Giants are coming in last or the offense is going to suck. It can be good. Just if Dart's good, the offense is going to be good. Just that if you're viewing it correctly, you want someone with Harbaugh that you feel can dominate X's and O's. And I feel they failed. And I feel candidly, they weren't as prepared as they should have been. That's how it seems to me on the outside. That they probably didn't expect Monken to get the job, and then they're scrambling after the fact. And here's Matt Nagy to call the plays for the Giants. Maybe it works. I'm slightly pessimistic. I'll be honest. It could work. I'm a little pessimistic about it. And with that, I think we need to take a break. I need to go cool off. Joining me on the other side, in person, right? Wow, how great is that? My good friend, Ross Tucker, Westwood One NFL analyst, NFL on CBS, Ross Tucker Football Podcast. I'm going to ask Ross. He won't. He's going to hate it, right? He's going to hate Nagy to the Giants? Probably will. Ross Tucker will join me live on set right after this to talk about Matt Nagy to the Giants, the rest of the comings and goings on the coaching carousel, and a little game you might have heard of. It's called Super Bowl 60, Patriots and Seahawks Sunday from the Bay Area. Coming up next, You Better You Bet Westwood One Sports with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM.
we're getting towards awards and accolades just being completely meaningless now. I've grown a little fed up with that song. Yeah, I've grown a little fed up with LeBron James. Last week, the fake crying, the charade that he put on before playing the Cleveland Cavaliers in Cleveland. He hasn't formally announced that this is his retirement season, his farewell tour, yet we're kind of treating it that way, probably because we see the drop-off in his game this season. You look at the numbers, he's averaging 22 points, 6 rebounds, and 6.5 assists. This is a guy that last year was averaging 24.5 points. The year before that, 25.5 points. 2 years ago, 2021, 30 points per game. His average rebounds per game is the lowest in his entire career. The average of his assists is the second lowest in the last 10 years for him. His shooting 50% from the field is the second lowest in the last 7 years. His free throw percentage continues to be horrendous. It's at 73%. His three-point percentage is 33%. And nowadays we're playing a sport where there is routinely 240 points in a contest. So, on top of that, yeah, he had sciatica, which has limited him to just 31 games played this season. He didn't make his season debut until 15 games into the season. How is LeBron James an all-star over Kawhi Leonard? Makes no sense whatsoever to me. It basically just says that at this point, the NBA is giving him the honorary LeBron badge. You're LeBron James. Here you go. You're an all-star. And so now being an all-star in the NBA is just as meaningless as being named a Pro Bowler in the NFL, because we have Shedeur Sanders, a Pro Bowler. We've got LeBron James, an all-star, in a year where he's not an all-star. It's okay if LeBron James is not an all-star. We recognize he's one of the greatest players of all time. He hasn't been an all-star by like any definition of the word or of the accolade this season. So why are we just giving it to him?
Let's get back to San Francisco for more You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, live from Media Row, only on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Joining me now live on set, friend of the show, but more importantly, selfishly, friend of mine, the great Ross Tucker, who you've been hearing a lot on You Better You Bet recently, which is great, on the weekend shows, star analyst for Westwood One Sports, NFL on CBS, Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Well, you have like 19 things going on, man.
I do get a bunch of 1099s. Yes, this is an annoying time of year. But, it sounds so lame to complain about that.
Yes, it does.
You know what I mean?
But you will or no?
But I kind of just did.
Yeah, I complain about my life's awesome. I still doesn't stop me from complaining, man.
No, honestly, yeah, man. I mean, I've known you for a long time. I'm 46 now, almost 47. I haven't had to get a real job yet. It doesn't look like I'm going to have to.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in a pretty good spot, and always just trying to get better, do more, and enjoy it. The thing I like about you and your show.
Oh, please, are we recording this? please.
And hopefully that you can appreciate for me is like, this is really what Nick is like all the time. And so the reason why you're having so much success, and I saw that this program was ranked one of the top 15 shows in the world, or country maybe, whatever.
I think world's better.
World's fine.
What the hell? What are they doing?
Who cares
outside
about other
this country?
countries?
Nothing,
Yeah, who cares about other countries?
Yeah, they play soccer.
So anyway, it's what everybody needs to know that's listening or watching. Who's watching? What are we on right now?
We're YouTube too. We're on Nessun right now.
Are we really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Patriots stink. No, I'm just kidding.
Go Seahawks. We're kidding. Go on.
I'm kidding.
You were in the middle of complimenting me. Please continue.
This is who Nick really is all the time. Like, I have found that those are the guys that have the most success, because there are other people here at Radio Row that they're a little bit different when they're on air versus off air. But like Nick, when you hear him, this is how he is all the time. And I'd like to think that you would say the same about me.
I was actually I didn't want to interrupt you because you were saying really nice things about me. But yeah, that dude, and for people that don't know, I think I've said this on the show a bunch. We've known it 20 years, close, right?
Yeah,
19 years?
Almost,
So
yeah.
we're 20, we met in, I think, in 07.
So 07 is when I started doing, I was on injured reserve. So this is so funny.
And I have a great, I actually think I have this picture in my phone.
Okay.
So I need to ask you about the Super Bowl, but it's a true story. So Sirius XM NFL Radio still has this show, the Sunday Drive, right? Which is like their version of the audio version of NFL Red Zone, where they're going in and out of games. So if like you're driving in the car, like you're listening to games on Westwood One, and NFL Radio has the Sunday Drive. And I don't know if you did it the whole year or you just did week one when you were on IR. You came to do the show in your Washington Redskins jersey. And you treated it like, I think I have the picture in my phone. You treated it like it was game day. This is like September 2007 in your Redskins jersey.
Well, if that's a true story, which I don't remember at all, please do find the picture, send it to me. But what I do remember,
I have it. Do you want to see it?
Yes.
It's right here.
Oh my God!
September. Hold on, zoom in on this if you can. This is September. Can I show them this?
Yes, and send it to me.
This is September 7th, 2008. For people that can see this, this is Ross outside the NFL radio studio at Sirius XM before the Sunday Drive, Week 1, 2008. In your Redskins
that is
jersey.
incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Look, I'm wearing the cargo shorts. That is awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So what I was gonna say, it's funny about it is, so that was the year after I retired. My last year was 07. I'm on IR. And I started filling in for Sirius XM, and they wanted me to pick the games on the show I was on. I'm like, I'm still technically playing for the Redskins. I get paid for them. Like, I don't think I can pick the games. Like, I'm not sure that's legal.
Yeah.
Nowadays, like, there was a guy last night, opening night, that had some, like, Irish betting thing on his microphone flag as he's interviewing the GM for Elliott Wolf for the Patriots. I'm like, wow, things have changed. Because back then I was legitimately afraid I could get in trouble for just even picking the game straight up as a guy that was on IR. Yeah. Oh, super quick story. Okay. This is important. I don't know if I've ever told you this before, but that season, 07, I'm on injured reserve. I hurt my neck. I know my career is over, okay? But when you're on IR, you still get paid for the whole year.
You have told me the story, but I want you to tell it because it's a great story.
Okay, so this is for the new audience. I know we got like a zillion more stations, which is awesome. Much deserved.
Ross knows that because I told him before he came on the air.
All right, so here's I know Westwood One's audio network now. So I go down to my buddy's house in Charleston for New Year's Eve. I'm like retired, but not. And the Cowboys have the number one seed. They're about to play the Redskins. If the Redskins win, they make the playoffs. If the Redskins lose, they don't. I get the $18,000 game check for the playoffs if they make it. So I'm there with all my best friends in the world, my high school buddies, and our wives or girlfriends or whatever. 10 minutes before the game starts, I tell them, I'm like, if the Redskins win, I get $18,000. With no hesitation, two of my buddies pull their phones out and go to, was it called Bodog? Or I can't even remember what they were all called.
Maybe it was BetMGM.
Maybe it was BetMGM. Yeah. It should have been BetMGM.
It should have been.
Even though that's not even allowed yet.
Correct.
All right. So anyway, they pulled out the offshore stuff, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And they're like, dude, you got to put $9,000 on the Cowboys right now.
Oh my
you got to
God,
hedge.
yeah.
I'm like, I'm not doing that. But the moral of the story is to drink beers with your high school buddies and watch a football game where you have $18,000 on it and you tell those guys if the Redskins win, you'll pay for everything that night. It was electric.
Yes.
I mean, absolutely electric. And thankfully, the Redskins won.
1-800-GAMBLER if you have a gambling problem. Please gamble responsibly. Visit BetMGM.com and download the BetMGM app. You bet on this Tuesday, Radio Row. My friend Ross Tucker, Westwood One NFL analyst, NFL on CBS, Ross Tucker Football Podcast. We'll talk football in a second. You know this is true because I've said it to you off air. I think that you are going, as time goes on, your profile is only going to raise as far as calling games on TV and radio. I think you're so good at it. And I think the thing that's great, you have this is the ultimate compliment. You have some Madden in you, in the way that you're able to relate to regular people like me. I'm a regular person, right? Someone who didn't play, who loves football, where you obviously have a great, because you played, right? Have a great understanding of the X's and O's, but you also have a way of inviting people and making them feel like we're sitting at the bar with you talking about football. So tell us about your journey, doing that stuff, whether it's on radio or whether it's on TV. I think you do a great job.
Well, so that's the greatest compliment I can get, the two things you just said there. And I hear the Madden thing a decent amount.
Does that, and I know that registers with you because I know you love the history of this stuff. That is not something that's said lightly. It's it's a tremendous compliment.
Yeah, so I guess the point I would make is that's not intentional.
But you're being you. To your point of what you said about me earlier, that's who you are.
Right, but what I think is, you ever hear when they talk to musicians and they're like, who were your influences growing up? You know what I mean? I think because I watched John Madden so much. In other words, I don't know if I would be the way I am as a color analyst if I had never watched John Madden, or maybe I still would. Maybe this is just exactly who I would be. Or maybe from age 5 to 25, having it so ingrained in me, some of it rubbed off on me. And there just aren't that many offensive linemen or people with our personality doing it. So I can see why people think there are similarities. And obviously, I hear that a decent amount, and it's the coolest compliment, obviously, I could get.
All right, you bet with Ross Tucker here on the show. We got to talk about at the end my front page story.
Yeah.
So we have 5 minutes. Let's go lightning.
You have a great audience, by the way. They've been killing on the weekends. MyFrontPageStory.com.
Yeah,
awesome.
And she will cry, you will win. That's my line. You're trying to steal it from me. That's okay. Giants just hired Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. I'm pretty crushed. What do you think?
Why are you pretty crushed?
Because I wanted Todd Monken, and I feel like this is not as good a hire for the Giants as Todd Monken would have been.
I think that's fair based on recent track record. What I would say, though, is we haven't seen Nagy call plays in a long time. I mean, it was the time with the Bears. I had Laura Oakman on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast recently, and Nagy was one of the coaches.
Star Westwood One Sports sideline reporter,
yes.
Laura Oakman.
And Nagy was one of the coaches, along with Dan Quinn, as well as Mike McCarthy and others, that went through Laura's process of finding out what his blind spot was. And he let his contract lapse with the Chiefs because he realized to get another head coaching opportunity, he was probably going to have to go somewhere and call plays. So he's been preparing ever since the Chicago opportunity for this. And remember, did they go to the playoffs with, was that Mitch Trubisky?
Yeah, that's the double doink game against the Eagles. Yeah.
So in my mind, they essentially won a playoff game with Mitch Trubisky as their quarterback. Was it Cody Parkey that hit
Cody
both
Parkey, and they were 12-4 that year. Now a million turnovers by the defense, but they did go 12-4. That did happen.
Yes, and then ultimately, what did him in was he wasn't able to get Justin Fields to play at a high level. Guess what? Nobody has.
Yeah, well,
nobody has.
Yeah.
So I am very curious to see how he will do, and I have faith in John Harbaugh. I understand Monken because what Monken did with Stetson Bennett and with Lamar Jackson was super impressive, but I think Nagy deserves benefit of the doubt.
All right, we have 2 minutes left, and we got to do my front page story also. Who do you like in Super Bowl 60 and why?
Straight up or with the spread?
You know the answer to that question.
Okay.
That was honestly bad job by me. Who do you think's going to cover? And also, who do you like to win the game?
I like the Seahawks to win the game. I would take the Patriots in the points.
I feel like a lot of people feel that way.
Well, because I have a lot of faith in Mike Vrabel, former teammate of mine, as a coach, to have those guys ready. I think they'll have an excellent plan. I think he's one of the best coaches in the league. I think Drake May's legs will be a factor. Their defense is playing super well. and it feels like 20-17 Seahawks.
So
I mean, the
under
Seahawks
also.
are the better team.
Yeah.
And if the Seahawks and the Patriots play 10 times, I think the Seahawks win 7, maybe 8. But the Patriots only need to win 1, and for our purposes, they only need to lose by 4 or less.
Yes.
So I'm going to record the Even Money Betting podcast tomorrow. I'm going to take the Patriots and the points, but I do think Seattle's the better team, and they'll win the game.
Our friend Ryan McGuire is here. Ryan, I have some beef with Ross. So Ross comes on the show a couple weeks ago, and it's a great job. Like, Ross came on every single Sunday during the NFL playoffs on Westwood One. And we're promoting my front page story. And you say a line, she will cry and you will win. And I say, you should put that on a T-shirt. And now Ross has on the one sheet that he's handing people today, on the one sheet, she will cry, you will win. Where are my royalties? And tell the people of Valentine's Day coming up about my front page story. We have a minute.
No royalties.
But can you just say it's my line? This is like when Odyssey stole Wagertainment from me. It's okay.
Listen, okay, you got it because you heard me say it. She will cry.
But you had
will
no
win.
idea how good it was.
No,
though.
I knew it
no,
was
you
good.
didn't. I illuminated it.
Listen,
for you. It's okay.
All you need to know is myfrontpagestory.com. It's by far the best Valentine's Day gift I've ever seen. What do people do? They get flowers or like
20 seconds.
A gift card to the Olive Garden. Go to myfrontpagestory.com. A writer will write the most unbelievable story about your wife ever. It looks like it's on the cover of the newspaper. Framed, beautiful. She will cry. You will win. Myfrontpagestory.com. Myfrontpagestory.com.
That website again, myfrontpagestory.com. Myfrontpagestory.com. She will cry. You will win. We win when you join us, my friend Ross Tucker here on the show. Thank you very much.
Congrats, man. Keep it rolling.
Final hour, power hour coming up next here, live from Radio Row, San Francisco, California. Nick Kostos and you. Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
He fails to recall that Mark Andrews was wide open, had the football in his hands, and dropped the 2-point conversion that would have won the game for the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 41. No, that would have tied the game, I believe. Yes, it wouldn't have even won the game. It would have tied the game if Mark Andrews caught that 2-point conversion against Buffalo. So it wouldn't have even been a guarantee that they would have won. It would have tied the game. With the play from 4th and 4 that the Rams lost on was a tremendous play by Devin Witherspoon guarding Ferguson, the Rams tight end. He was not wide open. he didn't even get his hands on the ball. He was basically playing defense to make sure that it wasn't intercepted. He basically had no chance to catch that football. It wasn't even close. The Rams lost that game because the Seahawks outplayed them, because the Rams defense couldn't stop them. It didn't come down to just that one play. The Rams had other opportunities. It came down to Xavier Smith dropping a punt that resulted in a Seahawks touchdown a play later. It resulted in the Rams not getting it on the other fourth down that they went for. Nothing with Ferguson dropping that football. And it wasn't even like a bad throw from Stafford. It was a hell of a play. Seattle had it perfectly covered. That's what it came down to. There was limited opportunities. And that's why, if you want to make one argument why the Rams lost the game, and I didn't really blame Sean McVay in the moment, but the Rams lose by 4. They were down 31-20. They score a touchdown. You probably should have went for 2. Because if you get the 2-point conversion, that would have made 31-28, and then they wouldn't have had to go for it on fourth down there with the final 4 minutes. They would have kicked the field goal to tie the game, and then we would have saw what would have happened. But I don't know what Paul's talking about. That 6'6" monster. If he caught the ball, he dropped the ball. It wasn't a drop. It wasn't even close to a drop. It was a hell of a play by Seattle. And I don't know, man. I'm lost. Paul scrambled me up. I don't know what he's talking about. Everybody wanted to see Matthew Stafford win the MVP. I think there was as many people that wanted to see Drake May win the MVP. And Stafford would have been in the Super Bowl if the Rams defense got some stops. They gave up 450 yards of offense, 31 points. Anyway, we'll take a short break. Cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur.
Let's get back to San Francisco for more You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, live from Media Row, only on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Bring it up, Kenny. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos, John Romero, and you. The Power Hour and every hour here on You Better You Bet, brought to you by BetMGM. And the biggest game of the year calls for a boost pack that's just as big. BetMGM rolling out the Big Game Boost Pack, giving you 3 different ways to boost the odds on your next big game bet. Here's how it works. First, log in and your Big Game Boost Pack will be waiting for you. Next, add any big game bet to your bet slip and activate the boost token you want to use. And finally, if that bet hits with the token activated, you're getting extra winnings on top of your payout. So if you want to add a little more excitement to your big game action, make sure you grab the Big Game Boost Pack from BetMGM so you can make it legendary. Download the BetMGM app today, and please gamble responsibly. So, former WWE Superstar Big E will be joining us. He's walking over here right now. So Big E's going to join us in just a moment here. He's doing awesome work for our friends at Sumer Sports. So between you and me, you, the audience, and me, I'm a huge wrestling fan, as I think you know. So this is really awesome. Big E, Nick Kostos, pleasure. Big E joins us on the show. I would like to start by saying, just so you know, I'm a mark.
I appreciate your candor.
Because we'll have a couple, like MJF's going to come on the show this week, and I've kind of been thinking in my head, because I think you need to know that, right? When you sit down.
I don't know if I need to know, but it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to,
So I am, this is where I'll make the interview about me for like 15 seconds, because the fact that I'm sitting here with you, I don't get starstruck around pro athletes. I always have around pro wrestlers. And we're going to talk a ton about Sumer Sports, and I love what you have going on with them. I've been watching since WrestleMania 7. So you are legendary you'll be in the Hall of Fame at some point. I don't think there's any question about it, for the work you guys did with the New Day, your work as a singles wrestler. Great to have you on the show, my man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. It's really great to be here. Just got back from Saudi not that long ago, so my head's spinning a little bit. But the nice thing is I live in Oakland, so I just came across the bridge, and now we're here talking all things the evaluation, Sumer Sports, and the Super Bowl.
I love it. And just for so people know your background, right? So like WWE champion, multi-million-time tag team champion with the New Day. But you played college football, right? And you're a gigantic college football fan, played at Iowa, right?
Yeah.
So tell the audience about that.
No, absolutely. So I was a defensive tackle, a very short defensive tackle at Iowa.
But you're a monster, dude. You probably mauled people.
I tried to. I attempted to. But yeah, man, college football has always been my first love. And I was really, really fortunate to get into wrestling and make my hay there. But yeah, I played for Coach Ferentz. And the really cool thing is he's been there since 1999. The Broyles Award winner, Phil Parker, a few years ago was my DC. He was our D-backs coach at the time, DC now at Iowa, but recruited me 20-something years ago. But man, I've loved every opportunity I get to work in college football. I was the chief Fiesta officer for the Fiesta Bowl a couple seasons ago.
What does that mean? You just like party?
So I was just an ambassador. I tried to. I was the host of fun. I was that's all. I was
and for anyone, and just in case, for anyone that's watched you in WWE, like you are tailor made for that.
I appreciate that,
and
man.
I'm not just saying that; like it's obvious.
No, thank you very much, man. And it's just I've always loved college football, and I'm so grateful for all the doors that WWE has opened. And this show kind of fell in my lap, kind of came out of nowhere. But man, we got to sit down with so many legends. I got to interview Eli Manning and Marshall Faulk, and I'm talking to Mike Mayock, John Idzik, Jeff, just all these incredible minds when it comes to scouting, when it comes to general managers in the world of football.
So the show is The Evaluation, and our listeners and viewers here on the show, Big E, that's okay? Big E?
Hit me. Yes, Big E.
It's pretty awesome.
Yes, sir.
Sumer Sports has been known on this show for a long time. Like Eric Eager, who now is like the vice president of analytics for the Panthers, used to work for Sumer Sports, came on the show every week. We had Lindsey Rhodes on the show yesterday, so our audience is familiar with this. I think this is such, and like you're a stud, man. Like you're going to, I'm not just saying that, like you're going to kill it. I'd love to know, because it is a little random, which doesn't mean that it's not going to be awesome. I know it's going to be awesome. But when my executive producer, Bill Zimmerman, said, like, do you want to have Big E on the show? I'm like, well, yes. Like, what's he promoting? This. I was like, A, that's awesome. B, how the hell did this come about? Like, I love this.
Yeah, so I got really, really lucky, man. So I didn't even know this project existed until January 1st. I get a voice note from Kristen Prouty, who used to work at WWE, and she has a really good friend, Holly Goleen. And Holly is the creator of the show, The Evaluation. And she was really in desperate need of a host. They had a few other people that they had tried on and were talking to, and things didn't work out for one reason or another. And she talked to Kristen, and Kristen mentioned my name, and we just started talking. And I sat down with her. She sent me all the material, sent me the interviews with the scouts, a lot of the things that they were building and working on. And I thought, man, this is right up my alley. I love college football. I've seen so many of these prospects. I watched Dante Moore. I know he's not coming out, but we did get into Dante Moore a little bit. I watched him in person. I've watched so many of these guys that we're talking about. And the ability to sit down with so many of these brilliant minds from the world of scouting, general managers, to sit down with these Pro Football Hall of Famers. Got to talk to Joe Thomas, who actually I played against many moons ago when he was at Wisconsin.
How'd it go? Joe Thomas.
The interview went incredible.
No,
when we played, it did not go well for me. The man is a Pro Football Hall of Famer for a reason. But man, it was such a natural fit. So as soon as I heard about it, I said, yes, I'm in. And thankfully it worked out with the scheduling and everything. And we shot it all in LA a couple weeks ago. And it's crazy because things in Hollywood always move at a glacial pace. They take so long. But to hear about this project on January 1st, to have shot it a couple weeks later, to promote it this week, and it comes out February 12th, that's kind of unheard of.
Give us a great, and I'm not asking you to give everything away, and I want everyone to check out The Evaluation, hosted by Big E, Sumer Sports, talking with former NFL GMs, Eli Manning's on the show, Hall of Famers, etc. Give us a story that someone told you or an anecdote from one of these interviews that has stuck with you that you thought was really awesome to give our audience a little appetizer for the show to come?
Yeah, there was one of the things I really love is these scouts not only are just talking about the prospects that are coming out now, but they're also sharing stories from their time many moons ago, sitting down and finding the legends of today. So I remember there was one story about one of the scouts who was at the University of Michigan, looking around, and Drew Henson at the time was the quarterback for Michigan.
And Brady was the backup?
Right.
Yeah.
And he's talking, actually, he's going through the building, and one of the janitors stops him and says, look, I know Drew Henson is the starter, but there's a lot of talk in this building about this Tom Brady guy. A lot of the assistant coaches, there's a lot of buzz around this guy. I think you should check him out. And that's what I love we're not just getting insight from we're not just talking about measurables and 40 times and production. We're also talking about what it was like to be boots on the ground at the University of Michigan and what it's like to talk to people in the building, to talk to family members, to have those personal experiences. And that's what I love. We're getting to talk to these scouts who have done it for so long, who have found these gems, who have scouted guys who we all know now as household names.
You love college football.
I absolutely do.
What is crazier? Indiana winning the national championship or college football, or David Arquette winning the WCW title?
I didn't know what the parallel was going to be. The David Arquette
that was not bad, right?
What Indiana has done, what Coach Cignetti has done, in the paradigm that is college football, it's always...
Because you played in the Big Ten.
Yes.
It's unbelievable, right?
Indiana was always a doormat, and that never happens in college football. So this new landscape with NIL, the transfer portal, it now allows in Indiana with the right funding, the right perspective. I love it. I think it's great for the game because I would always bemoan the fact, as a huge college football fan, my one issue is the lack of parity. For so long, it's typically the same 6 to 8 programs every single year who dominate. The idea of an Indiana, a basement dweller, being able to build that program up the way they did so quickly and the way they do it, truly unbelievable. It's the best story in my lifetime in college football. I've never seen anything like it. It was so easy to root for Mendoza, despite them being in the Big Ten and beating that loss in Iowa City is such a great game in the rain. But, man, I love what Coach Cignetti's built.
You Better You Bet on this Tuesday. Westwood One Sports. Nick Kostos joined by WWE legend Big E, who is going to be hosting the evaluation for Sumer Sports. I can't wait to check the show out. Big E is unbelievable. Sumer Sports does a great job. This will be awesome must-watch content as you, our listeners and viewers, get ready for the 2026 NFL Draft. What do you think Fernando Mendoza is going to be like as a pro?
That's a great question, and we get into that in the show as well a little bit. I think he's gonna have a great pro career. I think he's made such big leaps. If you look at his time at Cal, he was obviously very talented, but he made a huge leap at Indiana. I think, look, the Raiders are going to have to put some pieces around him if he does indeed go first overall to Vegas. He's going to need some help there. But I think he's going to have a great career as a pro. To me, he's clearly QB1. I think there's a bit of a drop-off afterwards, but I think he's going to be a great pro.
What about Dante Moore is obviously going back to Oregon. I think people were a little surprised by that. Obviously, NIL has kind of changed the landscape. A lot of people will say, Big E, that Dante Moore's not ready for the NFL, and maybe he got word that he's not going to go second overall. Maybe it's a day 2 grade. What is your sense of Dante Moore, the pro prospect? Right decision or not to go back to Oregon? Your opinion on Dante Moore?
I'm with you as well. I also thought he was going to come out, but you're right. In this landscape of NIL, if you can get paid and continue to develop, I think we've just seen too many young quarterbacks who don't work out initially. They're kind of thrust out there in the NFL. And if they don't work out, they kind of end up washing out. So if you can spend more time developing, talking to the scouts, I think so many of them really believe, like, the more starts you have under your belt, the better. So I think him going back to Oregon, getting a little bit more experience is going to be a really good thing for him. I thought he was going to be a guy who could come out and be a top 5 pick, but maybe he heard differently. I did watch him carve up my Iowa Hawkeyes in that final drive and
that
deliver
was
a heartbreaker.
Fantastic game.
I remember I was up in the box. I sprinted down because I'm storming the field when this game is over. So being on the sideline and watching that heartbreaker of a final drive and watch them kick the game-winning field goal was tough to see. But it was in terrible conditions. He threw dot after dot after dot. I was really impressed with the kid.
I lost money on. I needed the 2-point conversion to go differently for Iowa. That is.
Don't get me started.
That's the story.
Don't
Do you
get
bet?
me started. I can't do it. I
okay,
can't.
fair enough.
Slippery slope.
Can I ask you about your neck?
Please do.
Okay. For people that don't know, and I want to frame this in what I think is the correct way. So, Big E you're a WWE legend, right? You're going to go to the Hall of Fame.
Using the term legend very loosely.
Okay, so maybe not legend in the way like Stone Cold Steve Austin's a legend, but you're going to go to the Hall of Fame. Like, there's no question about it, right? And you had an incident on a SmackDown where, and I obviously, and I don't even want to get into the specifics of it, but you kind of got like a move kind of goes awry. You broke your neck, right?
Yes.
And I just, in the face of like unfathomable adversity, right, where you haven't wrestled since, right?
No, that was it. Yep.
And the way that you have, and I'm not there, and like, I'm sure you had, I don't even want to put myself in that spot, some like really dark moments, but maybe you didn't, but you're a human being, right? Just like the way that you have carried yourself publicly, and I'm sure that's been the case privately, like your positivity in the face of something so like potentially where that could happen and you wouldn't blame someone if they went in the tank. And it's just like, you know what, like maybe this is it for me. And you have gone completely the opposite way. You've carried yourself with tremendous positivity. You have this new show coming out and like you have such like this unbelievable buoyant personality. Like how in the world have you been able to do that? Because I feel like a lot of people would not be strong enough to do what you did. I don't know that I would be strong enough to do what you did in the face of that and be as positive as you've been.
Well, I really appreciate that. So for me, man, I did go in the tank when I had a bunch of injuries in college. I tore my ACL, my left ACL, my right ACL, broke my right patella, tore my left pec, all in 2.5 years. And when I went through those experiences, I did spiral, and it was hard. I had a lot of struggles with depression in college. I was in a psych ward. The fact that I'm even still alive, that I even made it past college, to me is almost a miracle in and of itself. So for me, I ended up going to therapy in college and working on myself. But really what changed the game for me was in 2020, I knew when the pandemic hit and lockdowns were in place that if I didn't do something for my mental health, I was going to be in real trouble with all that isolation. So I decided, there was a friend who suggested this app for mindfulness and meditation, and I decided to start, and I fell in love with it because I noticed I was a lot more present, I was more grateful for life, and it really changed me in so many ways. So I meditate every single day, even if it's just for 10 minutes. I meditate every day. And for me, being in that position where I broke my neck, my focus wasn't on all the things that I missed out on or woe is me or blaming the guy who did it. I was so grateful for life. I was grateful for the support I had. So I really just credit a lot of it to my practice of mindfulness and meditation. And that was it, man. Like, I'm so thankful. Like, when I got to the hospital, doctors told me you were this close to stroke, paralysis, and death. If it wasn't for having a column of a neck to help protect your vertebrae, because there was no displacement. When my C1 broke in 2 places, if my vertebrae had shifted a millimeter back one way or the other, or if those pieces, those bone chips had floated out, that could have been it for me. So with that knowledge in mind, it wasn't, man, my career is over. Man, I don't get to do what I did before. It was, I am so thankful I'm still here. I'm so thankful to not be in pain. I am so thankful to have the support that I do. So that's my focus. And I credit mindfulness and meditation. It's helped me so much because there is so much to be grateful for. My career might be done, but what do I have? Man, I have a great life. I have an incredible life.
And a great career still to come, just a different career, right?
Absolutely.
Are you proud of yourself? I hope you are.
I am. Look, it took a long time for me to be, I used to be someone who was very self-deprecating.
Do people understand, like, what that answer just was? And, like, what you, like, look, I'll gas you up so you don't have to. For people out there that are not fans of WWE, like, you are one of the big, and, like, I know you'll be humble, like, you are one of the biggest stars in the last, like, 10, 15 years of WWE. Career-ending injury, to be as positive, who can do that? Like, you're a stud, dude. Well, and now you've got this coming up here. That's why I ask you, because you said you're happy. Happy and proud don't have to be the same thing. I hope you're proud of yourself. I mean that.
I am proud. I am proud. And the lesson that I've learned is so many times something stops. College football was my dream. College football was over. And I thought, what now? And something better, something I couldn't imagine in WWE was right around the corner. So that's the lesson that I've learned is just because your dream or your path in life has come to a close, the thing that you wanted, that doesn't mean something incredible isn't around the corner. And I've been so grateful. I have loved the stuff, the broadcasting side of things. Getting to do that for the PLEs for WWE has been a lot of fun. I have absolutely loved getting to do the stuff I have with Sumer Sports and the evaluation coming out on YouTube February 12th on Sumer Sports YouTube.
We'll promote that again
Absolutely.
Before the end. Yeah.
But man, I get to. I'm a voice actor in your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. I've already started recording for season 3.
That's awesome.
Like, I look at my life. I look back to college when football was over. I was wildly depressed. I couldn't see a way out. And now looking at my life, I've wrestled Randy Orton in South Africa.
Awesome,
I've been WWE champion.
That's
I took
awesome.
a rock bottom from The Rock. Like, what are we, like, the life I've been afforded is a dream. I am so blessed to be here. I'm here at Super Bowl week, Radio Row, getting to talk to you about the show that I absolutely love doing.
Awesome.
I have nothing to be sad about. I am proud of myself. I am proud of what life has brought. I'm very grateful
You know
for it
what's
all.
so funny, man? I always feel like non-wrestling fans think this is weird. I'm trying to think of how much money I would pay if, like, The Rock walked in here right now and someone said to me, The Rock wants to rock bottom you through a table. Do you want that? I'd be like, do I want it? I'll pay $1,000 for that. Like, you don't think that's weird, right?
No, not.
Like, I want to take a Stone Cold Stunner. Like,
Don't we all?
I'm
Bro,
dying to.
And here's the secret. You talk about being a mark.
Yeah.
Half the locker room, if not more, is marks. We're all marks.
Right?
You should be a mark. That's a good. That's a good
the
thing.
Best. It's
so
the
that
best.
and the fact that we got paid to do that on TV with The Rock, man, I'm grateful.
Can I compliment pro wrestling for a second?
Please
And
do.
then I have a wrestling question for you, if
Yes.
it's okay. I think when for me, like, I'll give you an. So I'm at WrestleMania, the first Rock Cena Mania 28.
Okay.
I'm there.
Yep.
And like that, Matt, people are jumping in the aisles when The Rock won. It was awesome. But that's Triple H, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell before the streak is broken, right? And there's a moment in that match where it's a famous spot, right? So Shawn Michaels is a special guest referee. He's my favorite wrestler ever. Michaels super kicks Undertaker into a pedigree. And in that moment, we're all like, the streak's going to end. 1, 2, Taker kicks out. And I remember I'm with my friend Kevin. We're a lifelong wrestling fan, and we look at each other. I have goosebumps right now. And we both just started laughing because it was so good in that moment that you can't help but laugh. I think now it's not really the case anymore, but pro wrestling has the ability, for me, it becomes Shakespeare in moments like this, where when you're able to suspend your disbelief and you're in that moment and you're like, oh, you're so invested and something else happens, that's when it becomes like this art form that I feel like can't be reached that often. Curious, like, your opinion on that statement. I'm gushing about pro wrestling and now not asking you a question.
No, you're spot on. I think in pro wrestling, you're going to have to sit through a lot. That's not great. But when we nail it, my God, you're right.
Oh, my God, it's the best.
I think of the Sami Zayn bloodline turn. When Sami turned, when that payoff was so beautiful. I think of Daniel Bryan's run. I think of Kofi Mania. I think of all these moments.
Was sick.
When you have these moments that are nailed, and I love it in wrestling, you're talking about just building a great false finish. I love when you can hook an audience and you know you're going to get them. That the rhythm of that, the super kick, I remember that moment, and I remember how it felt, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now too. But that is the beauty of what we do. When we tell great stories, when it all unfolds the way it's supposed to, there is nothing like it. Look, I'm not saying it's all great. A lot of it's not very good.
You know what's funny?
But
I watch sometimes I'll go back. The Attitude Era sucked. Like, it did.
Don't get me. You're gonna get this clipped off and have me involved.
No. I promise. Like, I'm not looking. This is my opinion.
Yep.
When I was a teenager, is the greatest thing of all time.
Sure, of course.
Then you go back and watch it though, and it's like this is not very. It's not very good, man. I'm not asking you to say. I mean that sincerely. One wrestling question. What is Big E's all-time favorite? Not that you're involved in. Your favorite wrestling match of all time is what and why?
Oh, maybe this is for so Ron Simmons. I was a big Florida State fan as a kid. Ron Simmons was I think was a top 5 Heisman finalist while at Florida State, which is unheard of at in football. That doesn't happen for
won
no
the
tackles.
WCW title in the early 90s.
I think, and I was a huge WCW guy. Ron Simmons beating Vader, that moment.
Oh, man.
Where
yeah.
what I love about that match is I love that when people really believed.
Yeah.
I think now the veil has been lifted, that so many of us, we know how wrestling works, and we get sucked into stories. But at the time, the way people reacted, just seeing how much, it felt like Jackie Robinson.
That's awesome.
That was such a pivotal
He was the first
moment for my
Black World
fandom.
Champion.
Absolutely. So, and then meeting Ron Simmons, and he is such a stand-up dude, man.
Damn.
He's such a great guy. And I was a huge Vader fan as well.
Yeah.
So that Ron Simmons beating Vader for his first world championship for me was it.
Do you think WWE Unreal is a good idea? I'm kidding. I'm not going to put you. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Who do you like in the Super Bowl?
Oh, in the Super Bowl, you know what?
Seattle, a 4.5-point favorite in the game against. So you don't have to give up. You have to like a betting.
I don't want to be too chalky.
Who do you like to win?
I'm going with Seattle. I like the Sam Darnold story. I think is really beautiful. I love this next run for him. They've been playing really good football, so I'm going Seattle.
One more time, tell the audience about the evaluation on the Sumer Sports YouTube page debuting February 12th.
Yes, sir. February 12th, you can watch the evaluation on Sumer Sports YouTube. We sit down with. I got to talk to Eli Manning. I got to talk to Marshall Faulk. I'm sitting down with the GMs, the scouts who've been doing this for a very long time, talking about the prospects coming out for this year's NFL draft. It is a ton of fun. Please, if you're a football fan, tune in.
You're a stud, dude.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Man. I appreciate it.
Big E joining us here on You Better You Bet. More right after this.
He fails to recall that Mark Andrews was wide open, had the football in his hands, and dropped the 2-point conversion that would have won the game for the Baltimore Ravens. They lost 41. No, that would have tied the game, I believe. Yes, it wouldn't have even won the game. It would have tied the game if Mark Andrews caught that 2-point conversion against Buffalo. So it wouldn't have even been a guarantee that they would have won. It would have tied the game. With the play from 4th and 4 that the Rams lost on was a tremendous play by Devin Witherspoon guarding Ferguson, the Rams tight end. He was not wide open. He didn't even get his hands on the ball. He was basically playing defense to make sure that it wasn't intercepted. He basically had no chance to catch that football. It wasn't even close. The Rams lost that game because the Seahawks outplayed them, because the Rams defense couldn't stop them. It didn't come down to just that one play. The Rams had other opportunities. It came down to Xavier Smith dropping a punt that resulted in a Seahawks touchdown a play later. It resulted in the Rams not getting it on the other 4th down that they went for. Nothing with Ferguson dropping that football. And it wasn't even like a bad throw from Stafford. It was a hell of a play. Seattle had it perfectly covered. That's what it came down to. There was limited opportunities. And that's why, if you want to make one argument why the Rams lost the game, and I didn't really blame Sean McVay in the moment, but the Rams lose by 4. They were down 31-20. They score a touchdown. You probably should have went for 2. Because if you get the 2-point conversion, that would have made 31-28, and then they wouldn't have had to go for it on 4th down there with the final 4 minutes. They would have kicked the field goal to tie the game, and then we would have saw what would have happened. But I don't know what Paul's talking about. That 6'6" monster. If he caught the ball, he dropped the ball. It wasn't a drop. It wasn't even close to a drop. was a hell of a play by Seattle. And I don't know, man. I'm lost. Paul scrambled me up. I don't know what he's talking about. Everybody wanted to see Matthew Stafford win the MVP. I think there was as many people that wanted to see Drake May win the MVP. And Stafford would have been in the Super Bowl if the Rams defense got some stops. They gave up 450 yards of offense and 31 points. Anyway, we'll take a short break. Cram it up your cram hole, LaFleur.
Let's head out to Media Row in San Francisco. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Right, so here's the deal, everybody. I do it's like my Joe Biden impersonation. Here's the deal. A, I love my job. 6, I love pro wrestling. D, I love sports. We're an equal opportunity show. I'll do a Trump thing later on in the week. That was so good with Big E. Now, I am a huge wrestling fan, and that obviously helps my enjoyment of interviews like that. But what an absolute stud that guy is. Can you imagine for a second, right? And I didn't want to do the whole details. Hey, let me talk about how you broke your neck right in front of you. So, and I don't even need to say the name of the superstar who did it, because it doesn't matter. It's not purposeful, obviously. But this guy gets dropped on his head on national TV and almost dies, breaks his neck. Career over. Career over. Career over, and knows it in that moment. Broken neck, can't move. National TV. To bounce back like he has, be as happy as he is, be in, thank God, in good health as he is, to have the attitude that he has, now transitioning and doing sports content, right? Working with our friends at Sumer Sports with the evaluation. That's an American success story. And that's not hyperbole. And I hope that our listeners and viewers, and honestly, if you didn't, I actually kind of think it's your bad. Because that's special stuff from our friend Big E. So I really enjoyed that. We have a couple at Akbar Bajabiamila, and who's after him? Oh, and yeah, Steelers quarterback Charlie Batch, still to come on the show. The Ross Tucker interview was great. I love Ross, and he made me feel a little bit better about the Giants hiring Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. And look, I did say when I was talking about the Nagy hire that if Jackson Dart's good, it kind of all doesn't matter. And it's also probably going to get him another head coaching job. He's probably just going to get another job if Dart's good and the offense is good. That's how this is going to go. And it's absolutely awesome. All right. We're going to take a break, and we're going to have a couple guests coming up to end the show. Akbar Bajabiamila, former NFL player, host of Ninja Warrior. We're looking forward to that with Akbar joining us on the show. And then after Akbar, Charlie Batch, former Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback, will join us here. You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports Radio Row on this Tuesday, presented by our friends at BetMGM.
I'm going to go with a guy on the Seattle Seahawks who I feel like everybody has just about forgotten about, and I think it's unfair. Torrey Horton, their rookie wide receiver this year from Colorado State, their 5th-round draft pick. And if, for a lot of folks, like a lot of us get recency bias, a lot of people are probably listening right now saying, who? You're not talking about Rashid Shaheed, who they got at the trade deadline? This is the reason they got Rashid Shaheed at the trade deadline, because Torrey Horton was putting up awesome numbers in his rookie season. The guy played in 8 games, and he had 5 touchdowns. Not a big volume guy, right? He never had more than 48 yards in a game, didn't have more than 4 catches in a game. But out of 8 games played, he scored 5 touchdowns, and including the last game he played in the season, Week 9 against Washington, 4 catches, 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. This guy was on the rise, and then he suffered a season-ending injury. And I think next year he could become a massive star because of all the attention that's going to get paid to Jackson Smith and Jigba. And Brad, I got to be honest, I think the Seahawks are going to cut Cooper Kupp at the end of the season. I think he costs them too much money. They need to pay Jackson Smith and Jigba a monster extension, probably this offseason. They're on the hit for Cooper Kupp for $17 million next year, $18 million the year after that. I think the Super Bowl is going to be his last game in Seattle, and I think they're going to move on from him. They're going to extend JSN. They have Rashid Shaheed also as an unrestricted free agent. They got to make a decision on him. And that, I just think it opens the door for Torrey Horton to come back in year 2 and have a monster role. So I'll go with Torrey Horton. Here's a who. He might be hearing no more who's next year if he turns into a star.
Let's get back to San Francisco for more You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos, live from Media Row, only on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Rich, come over and say hello. So this is great. Akbar Baja Biamila is on set. He will join us. We can go say hi to Rich. So we're basically producing on the air right now. We could bring Rich Gannon on, do them together, but Charlie Batch is going to join us also. Rich, can we we'll do something later? Not now, right? You got a wrong. So Rich Gannon here. Rich, say hi to the camera. The great Rich Gannon.
That's Rich Gannon.
That's Rich Gannon. That's my guy.
Is my mic on?
You're on.
Okay.
Akbar Baja Biamila with us here on the show. Dude, you're a stud, man. Killing it.
You, man.
You're killing it. So we just had Big E on the show. Went from pro wrestling and college football, and is now hosting a show, Sumer Sports, the evaluation on the NFL draft. You go from the National Football League, American Ninja Warrior. Like, you have a pretty unbelievable life and career path, man.
Man, it's so cool. And, and I would also give credit to wrestling, WWF, now WWE. I know they don't like saying the WWF, but that's how I grew up with it.
So did I. You know what I always say? Screw the World Wildlife Funds. Get those whales out of here. Get them out of here, man.
It was WWE changed my life, and a lot of people don't realize this is because I grew up just such a big fan, especially in the early years, and I developed my broadcasting for my hosting style for Ninja Warrior after WWE, and so.
Who is your primary influence? What wrestler?
Well, Hulk Hogan, of course. Hulk Hogan was the biggest Ultimate Warrior, Mr. Wonderful.
Paul Orndorff reference,
Paul
man.
Orndorff.
You're an
Come
OG,
on.
of course.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, tag teams. I remember when Hulk Hogan fought the Bushwhackers, or the Moondogs. He fought the Moondogs, and it was right after his back injury. He came back to fight, 1 against 2, and it was like, oh man, I could. But I go all the way back. I mean, I could go, old school, bring it up to current, but listening to the Gorilla Monsoons and the Bobby Heenans and, Jerry Lawler, and listening to the way they called and the way they kind of move and change the game and commentary-wise, I went out for audition for American Ninja Warrior. I had gone out for like 100 auditions. I've been told no on all these different shows I tried out for, and I kind of lost faith. And so I get this call for American Ninja Warrior. I'm like, oh, whatever, and just went into WWE mode during the audition. I was just messing around. I was like, they're not going to call me anyways. Who cares? I get the phone call 2 weeks later. 14 years later, I'm still doing American Ninja Warrior.
So you wrote a book.
Yes.
Everyone can be a ninja.
Yeah.
Take a look at me. Can Nick Kostos be a ninja?
Heck yes.
So how can people be? I mean, because I got to tell you, I got Japanese tattoos. I love all this stuff. How can I become? Members of our audience? How can we become ninjas?
Well, first off, all you have to do is just send in your audition tape, tell your story, show a little bit of your athleticism. I know you got it, man. You've been doing big things for a long time, man.
Talking while sitting down.
No, man, Nick. I think because look, you're standing in. I'm going to say you're about 5'9".
Oh my God! I mean, I need you to travel with me, man. 5'9". That's not even the height of my driver's license, man. Come on.
Nick, you're something else, man.
5'9". God, I need you to travel with me.
Don't take this offense to this, but
you just said I'm 5'9". There's nothing you can say that can offend
good.
me.
I mean, we take Ninja Warrior. I think what people love about it is that you take ordinary people and they do extraordinary things. And you're more than just ordinary. You're an extraordinary person. So you get those two combinations.
He's the best.
And then all of a sudden,
great.
You're crushing it on Ninja Warrior. I did it. I'm 6'6", 270 pounds.
Is that
now,
it?
I had to lose weight to get on to complete the show. But if you go back and you Google it, look it on YouTube, I crushed it. So I know you can do it.
Man, the show is a phenomenon, man.
It is.
And it's one of those shows where I would kind of put, like for me, like Shark Tank's kind of like this, and Practical Jokers is kind of like this, where you can put it on, and it doesn't matter like what season it's in, what the episode is. Every episode is great.
Yeah.
You are literally part of a show where like no episode will ever be bad.
Right.
It's awesome, right?
Yeah. No, it is. It really is. And I think the stories are the ones that I love. The stories, because everybody, has to overcome some sort of obstacle in their life. And that's what inspired me to even write the book, because it's a series of overcoming different obstacles, whether it's mine personally, Allison Felix, Nnamdi Asomugha, like I tell different stories from the different ninjas in that story. So that's what people relate to, because we all have obstacles that we have to overcome in our life.
I guess we should talk some football.
Yeah,
I kind of want to talk about this more.
All right.
I'm a Giants fan.
Congratulations. You got Harbaugh. You got a Harbaugh as your head coach. First off, take that. Take that.
But here's what I said this when he was hired. I said it on the show. I really like the hire, but I need someone to come in with this because look, this is not an insult to John Harbaugh. He's amazing. He's won a Super Bowl, right? But he's not like a Ben Johnson, and I'm not saying that one's better than the other. But like Ben Johnson comes into Chicago, he's going to win you games with X's and O's, right? He's going to win schematically. That's not really Harbaugh's deal. More of like a CEO type. So I'm saying, like, if Todd Monken's coming with him, I love this because now I know, in addition to having a great leader, we also can win the X's and O's. Monken takes the head coaching job in Cleveland, yada, yada, yada. Matt Nagy's the offensive coordinator. I'm a little upset.
Why? Tell us why you're mad, son.
He hasn't called plays since Chicago. They went to the playoffs a couple of years in Chicago on the strength of a defense. Now, you can argue that he didn't have the greatest quarterbacks to work with, Mitch Trubisky and then later Justin Fields. It feels to me, and I'm willing to be wrong here, it feels a little bit like an uninspired hire to me. What say you about the Matt Nagy hire with the Giants?
I think it talks to the leadership of Coach John Harbaugh, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that, yes, somebody like a Matt Nagy can come into a situation like he does right now. He's the offensive coordinator, but doesn't mean that his entire playbook makes the final cut. And as he's talking philosophy with John Harbaugh, and those guys are going, and they've got all the football minds together, they start changing and twisting and moving things based on personnel, based on philosophy, on what works and what should be. So you're going to see a different iteration. I hope for goodness that, this Matt Nagy workout, it's a question mark on that. Like, I didn't see that. What's that saying that everybody say? I didn't see that one on my bingo card, right?
I hate that,
I know, I hate it too. That's why I said it. But it's just like, I didn't see that one happening. But, I believe in Coach Harbaugh more than anything, and I think he's going to be a culture changer for the New York Giants.
We'll talk about Experian in a second,
Yep.
but I got to...
Yeah, come on. We're here to talk about Experian.
Well, we got the Super Bowl coming up in a couple of days. Seahawks and Patriots. Who do you like coming up in Super Bowl 60 and why?
Okay, so I told you about Ninja Warrior and liking the underdogs, and I think the greatest underdog story in this entire Super Bowl has to be Sam Darnold. All the haters out there who've ever talked trash about Sam Darnold and what his abilities were, now all of them are on his jock. They're all saying he's the best thing, and look at that. But no, you guys, you got to keep that same energy you had for Sam Darnold as he was going through his highs and lows.
That's not how the media works.
I know, but everybody has amnesia all of a sudden.
Of course.
It's like CTE, like, oh, now you don't remember?
Yeah.
You don't remember what you said about Sam Darnold? But I love these stories because so many people give up on you in the beginning, and very few people have the ability and the know-withal to say, I'm going to stick with this guy. And so I love the fact that he's put together on two different teams, which speaks to his talent to do it with
back-to-back 14-win seasons.
Can you imagine? We haven't seen that since Tom Brady. Can you imagine? And to do it with two different teams.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold, I absolutely love that story. But that's not who I'm going with in this game.
Oh, this is like a little pro wrestling deal here. Yeah, so do you like the Patriots?
Yes, so I'm here with Experian, and
I just want you to know that I was going to ask.
I know you are.
Yeah.
I know you are. I'm going to tie it right back.
Yeah, nice.
And one of the things we're promoting, with Experian is the obviously the app and what it can do for you. But our big theme this year is our BFF, big financial friend. And they say, who can we find that is big, is financially literate, and is your friend? That's
Akbar
me.
Baja
6'6", right?
It's you. Yeah.
But I have a BFF in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
My BFF. Mac Hollins, New England Patriots. I cannot go against the New England Patriots and the legacy that they've built. So I'm going with Mac Hollins, and I'm going with the New England Patriots to win this Super Bowl game against the Seattle Seahawks. And I know, I told you, I'm an underdog guy. I like underdog stories. I think the New England Patriots are underdogs in this, and I love what they've done against highly defensive teams leading up to the Super Bowl.
Can I ask a favor?
Yes.
Okay. Charlie Batch is about to join us on the show.
There he is.
If you would be so kind to look into
Can
the
I
camera.
sack him for once? I never had a chance to sack him. Can I sack him?
We'll bring Gannon over here to sack him also. Can you give us pro wrestling promo coming up right now is Charlie Batch on You Better You Bet into that camera right there.
Okay. Charlie, give me your school again. Eastern Michigan. All right, here we go. And now, coming up at 6'4" from Eastern Michigan, NFL legend, Charlie Batch.
Dude, you did that. That was a little Legion of Doom,
yeah,
right?
right. You got to really emphasize. Charlie Batch.
That's a little like
Charlie Batch, everybody.
That's when Vince McMahon should be like, ah! Akbar Baja Biamila, we appreciate it, my man.
Thank you so much, man.
You are the man.
Appreciate it.
All right, BFF Experian, American Ninja Warrior.
Download that app. Download that Experian app. It's your BFF.
Your BFF.
Big financial friend.
He's really tall and I'm really short. He's standing next to me
You're
right
5'9".
now. I'm not 5'9". Joining us right now on the show, we go from Akbar Baja Biamila to Charlie Batch. So look, for people that are not watching, shame on you. Charlie Batch, and I mean this is not a setup to a joke. So cool that you're wearing shades indoors, and I absolutely love it. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. I am doing well. Am I on?
You're on.
So here's why I actually have the glasses. It's actually, it prevents me from getting migraines.
Oh, okay,
so
cool.
Looking at the camera, but the lights over top of it gives me migraines.
Can I be honest with you? Because you do a lot of media now, right? So I have to do the show. I'll stop making this about me in a second. I do the show from a home office, right? And we have these big ass lights, man. And they're shining in my face all day. I feel like sometimes when I'm done with the day at work, like my eyes are going to seep out of my head. I'm being serious. I think I need to look into this. I'm not joking.
That's honestly where it is, because it even happens when I'm at home watching TV. You know, sometimes you have the light that's coming directly through the ray is going right in front of the TV screen. That gives me an instant headache. So I just had to make sure that ultimately over the last 10 years I fought it, but ultimately got to the point where I'm like, wow, it actually helps.
I want to talk to you about the Mike McCarthy hire. We'll talk about Super Bowl 60, but let's start. Tell everybody what you've got going on with your foundation to start the interview here.
Yeah, so with our foundation, it's called Best of the Batch Foundation, and we actually are an educational foundation, and we just celebrated 26 years in Pittsburgh as educational foundation.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Of course.
And we service over 4,000 kids annually in 9 different counties throughout southwestern PA. And for us, we just literally expanded. We went from 5,300 square feet to 33,000 square feet.
That's awesome, man.
And we just celebrated 3 years of that, so the kids enjoy it. There's everything in there that the kids can take advantage. So we're excited to show that off. So if anybody is in Pittsburgh, please come on by. We love to show it off. Or you're interested and we love to collaborate with everyone, please visit batchfoundation.org.
Batchfoundation.org. Batchfoundation.org. Talk about the Steelers? Okay, I'll be honest with you. I don't love the Mike McCarthy hire. I'm going to tell you why, and then I want to get your opinion. So I think it's gotten to the point where I think he's like really underrated. People kind of talk about him like he's like this bozo. He's a great coach. Won 1 million games, obviously won a Super Bowl. I guess my thing, Charlie, with the Steelers is I think it either needs to go one of two ways. Either you get to a point where you can win a Super Bowl or you kind of bottom out and then like get a quarterback of the future. And to me, this kind of feels like they're going to go 10-7 again next year, go 9-8 next year, maybe lose on wild card weekend. Fair or unfair? I feel like a lot of people share my opinion. I don't have to be right. You played for the team. You played in the NFL. What say you on this hire?
Yeah, and I can understand that perspective. And I think ultimately when you listen to Art Rooney in his press conference, he said, why would you want to go a year wasting a season and not having a chance to win the Super Bowl trophy? And that starts with the culture that they actually provide. And I understand that. And the reason why I differ from you, and I love the hire, actually, and the reason why I love it is because you're looking for somebody to now bring that instant credibility, going from one veteran coach to another. It's been 15 years since you've been in the Super Bowl, 17 since you won it. Now you're looking for somebody to spark the offense and then also help develop the next franchise quarterback, and they're hoping that Will Howard is potentially that guy. So, yes, he may not be here 15 to 20 years, but based off what they need currently right now, I think it's an excellent hire.
Can I put you on the spot, something Steelers related
Yes.
quickly? Okay. The week 1 starting quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2026 will be A, Aaron Rodgers, B, Will Howard, or C, someone not currently on the roster, and why?
If I look at this and we're assuming that Aaron is coming back.
Let's assume that Aaron
Yes.
wants to come back.
Aaron Rodgers is the week 1 starter.
You like that or no?
I do. I really do, because watching him throughout the entire season, he sparked that offense and got it to where it ultimately can get to before it plateaued. And when you just look at his numbers, it was 27 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. That's a 3 to 1 in touchdown interception ratio. And now when you bring a new offense in here, this is a system he's been in for 18 years. So you know he's 2 steps ahead of everybody else. And what better way for a young quarterback to learn from Aaron, who's been in that system, won 4 MVPs in that system. So for me, I just think it's a win-win for those two. But ultimately, at some point, you have to start the clock for Will Howard.
Do you see, because like, I'm not saying Will Howard can't be great. I think a lot of people, and I didn't play, but I pay like really close attention to the league, which doesn't make me an expert in personnel, and I know that. But I think like me, as someone who hosts a show and like loves the NFL, people I think were a little surprised by how effusive his praise was of Will Howard. It kind of just came like, whoa, like we think this guy's that good. Do you see that in Will Howard from what you've seen, whether it's in college, whether what you've seen in practice, et cetera? What do you see from Will Howard?
Yeah, watching Will Howard, he was really having a good camp. He just got hurt at the wrong time. He got hurt right before the first preseason game. And then you miss those 3 games to be evaluated. And then when you do come back after 2 months, now you're running the other team's quarterback. So you truly never have an opportunity. Yeah, we know that you have the intangible. We know you could throw. We know you're a championship-winning quarterback, all of those things. That's why they drafted him. But yet the development piece is something that's lacking, and right now you're a year behind from that perspective. Now, when you look at just what Mike McCarthy inherited, regardless if we like it or not, it's a playoff and division-winning team. And then now you just needed a spark. And this move kind of reminds me of what Tampa Bay did. And I say that because Tampa Bay moved on from Tony Dungy. They needed a spark offensively, brought John Gruden in. They won the championship.
Super Bowl, yeah.
I'm not saying that they win the Super Bowl next year, but that's a comparison that I can see happening. Why you have a veteran quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, and then turn it over to a Will Howard.
Who do you think's going to win the Super Bowl on Sunday with the Seahawks and Patriots? And why?
Honestly, I'm going with Sam Darnold. And I know the Patriots are the underdog, but so is the Sam Darnold. 5 teams in, 7-8 years. And I think ultimately what he is able to do under the radar, I'm just going with the veteran quarterback in this perspective because I think he has more weapons offensively, and I want to see Sam hoist that Lombardi trophy.
I'm going to be honest with you. The show's over in 90 seconds. I'm very sad that we don't have more time because I would love to talk to you about a million things related to the National Football League. In about 30 seconds to wrap, tell the audience one more time about the Batch Foundation and where they can find you.
Yes, Best of the Batch Foundation. We're an educational foundation. We are based in Pittsburgh, PA. We service over 3,800 kids annually in 9 counties throughout southwestern PA. So we celebrate 26 years. We love to collaborate with everyone. And please, if you want to, and we would love to do so, go to batchfoundation.org. You'll be able to see everything we do throughout a calendar year.
As someone who gets their beard shaped up every week, that you got that done today, right?
I actually got it done on Sunday. So
you're lying.
It's a razor. He does razors, not clippers. Dave Williams is my barber in Pittsburgh, man. Shout out to you because put everybody on notice, brother.
Charlie, we appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Congratulations on the success with the foundation, everything you got going on. You'll cover analyzing the Pittsburgh Steelers. I really appreciate the time on the show.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Former NFL quarterback Charlie Batch joining us on the show. So cool. He's got shades on indoors, and they help him avoid migraines, and I got to look into that.
Absolutely.
Charlie Batch joining us here on You Better You Bet. And that does it. You want to sit here? We can sit for the end of the
good.
show. All right. That does it for the Tuesday edition of You Better You Bet here on Westwood One Sports. We have an absolutely loaded show coming your way tomorrow on a wonderful football Wednesday. We're actually about to pre-tape about 19 interviews after the show coming up for tomorrow, so very much look forward to that. So on behalf of our crew here on Westwood One Sports, I am Nick Kostos wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, the absolute very best of luck. We'll see you tomorrow from San Francisco.
Yeah, this is almost really a 1A, 1B for me. I mean, I love Wrigley Field with a fiery passion, but I've been to this venue, and it is iconic. I think it's still a little bit underrated on the national scene, and it is unlike any other sports arena in the country to see a hoops game, and that's Mackey Arena in West Lafayette, the home of the Purdue Boilermakers. Of course, Illinois just won there over the weekend, but you're right on top of the action. They see about 14,000 in there. It is rowdy, it is raucous, and it is downright loud. It is unlike any other basketball arena in the country. You know, some of the, the ones that are, they're all in the round, obviously, but like the United Center is rather cavernous. This is not, even though it's got 14,000 people in there. Again, you're right on top of everything. You can hear everything. It's just an amazing place. The energy is through the roof. And bar none, my opinion, Mackey Arena takes the cake here. Best venue in sports to see any type of game, and preferably, of course, hoops.